Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Pocono for the Pocono 400, round 20 of the recently renamed ISWWC. Robinson back with good old friend Doyle Johnson. Hello, Doyle.
How you doing, Will? How you doing, everybody?
So we're at Pocono. Pocono is always a track where interesting things happen, and so we are launching today the Triple Crown, the 2012 Triple Crown, which will be a 1,500-mile marathon for these drivers, spanning 3 races, one at Pocono, here today, 400 miles, and then the Indy 500 in September, and then, of course, concluding the season at the Michigan 600 in Doyle. 3 different racetracks, but each have their own challenges. I mean, today, it's all going to be about tire management and strategy. Indy is Indy, and then Michigan is, just crazy madness.
Yeah, this is going to be a great series of races. 3 different tracks, 3 very different setups, 3 very different disciplines. So I think it's going to be real exciting to see who comes out on top in the end.
And we're just going to quickly run through the current championship standings. I believe we're going to start with the combined championship standings, which is for drivers running in both the road and the oval series. And leading the way is Dave Jinks with 437 points. Great driving by him so far this season. Julien Pham is in second with 371 points. Randy Crosno moved up position after last week's race at Texas, moving him into third with 349 points. Jason Nillerman in fourth, Nico Brandt in fifth. And you see the rest of the championship standings for the combined coming up on your screen momentarily. And then we'll move on to the Oval Championship, seeing as this is an oval race. We'll talk about things in the oval world. And once again, Dave Jinks is leading that field at 251 points. But Jonathan Goke gained 4 places at Texas last time out, moving him up into the second position. And good driving by John Goke, getting him back up through the field in this latter part of the season.
Absolutely. It's kind of surprising to see Jonathan up there, but he's done a really good job late in the season to finish some races and get some points on the board.
And then what we'll do is we're just about to run through the grid. We're in the dying moments of qualifying at the moment. And for all of you people who are watching, you can get live timing and scoring by going to teamafterburn.com/beta/AIS live. We'll rename that page soon, I promise. And in qualifying, leading away, Jonathan Goke with a 40.617 fastest lap. Ryan Norton currently sat in the second position with a 40.629 qualifying time. Randy Crosno in third, Matthew Lambertson in fourth, Brad Sanford in the fifth position, Dennis Grace in sixth. Joe Branch and John Porzak will line up in row number 4 with Dave Jinks and Nico Brandt in row number 5. Disappointing qualifying for David Ward today in the number 69 machine in 11th, with Paul Jenkins in 12th. Eric Hunter and Jason Nillerman in row number 7. And then Alan Wilson, Julien Pham, John Howes and Danley Ench rounding out your field.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good race.
Sorry, I was about to tell you.
Go ahead, Will.
Sorry.
Tell me what.
I was going to tell you that Goke, in the second half of the season, we were just talking about him a minute ago, and he really now is building up that momentum with pole position here today, which will give him 2 championship points. So already he's closing that gap.
Yeah, and that's just kind of interesting for Jonathan because he's starting to settle down. He's not getting so excited early in the race. And then you still have that epic battle between Jonathan Goke and David Ward. Those 2 cars have been going at it all season long.
And you see that we're about to start getting the grid for it. With that, we have got the grid for this field. You see there, drivers lining up. Brad Sanford already on the grid, as is Nico Brandt. Julien Pham already on grid, as is Ryan Norton now. We're going to be racing for 160 laps here today. As you just see there, the number 84 machine was there. He just disappeared. The 09 is still on the grid, however. 160 laps here at Pocono Raceway today, which it equates to 400 miles. So it's the first of the Triple Crown here. And Doyle, I know you haven't been around for much recently, but we just renamed it the ISOWC, the International Simulated Open Wheel Championship. And I think it's a nice name.
I think it's a great name. I like the other name as well, renaming it, but it's good to kick that off with your new Triple Crown kind of a challenge there. So I think we're all looking forward to the new name and a new challenge and new racing.
And also, as today as well, it is the first. It is also today the first of the first anniversary. I'm going to get this right now. The first anniversary of the ISOWC. You know, our first race was a year ago, pretty much this weekend. And I had to say a big thank you to all drivers who have participated over the last year. And we've seen some great racing. I've enjoyed many moments racing with these drivers. And as we continue into a very, very difficult second half of this season, I think it's just going to get even better.
I agree with that. Well, it's just going to get even better. This is a great track to get that started with as an anniversary track. Pocono, that tricky triangle, always great racing because the two ends of the track are so different than each other. You either set up for one side or the other. So, and as we get under the pace cars get moving here, you know, it's going to be a great race today.
Yeah, so you see the pace car has started bringing these drivers around the racetrack. Just very quickly, we'll take you through this Pocono Raceway. 2.5 miles in length, 3 corners, the tricky triangle as it is so often called. Turn number 1 is banked at 14 degrees. Turn number 2 banked at 8 degrees, kind of mimicking that of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then the final turn number 3, modelled in the fashion of Milwaukee, just 6 degrees of banking. And I have to say, that is where it's going to see a lot of drivers having some issues later on in this race.
Yeah, usually what you hear a lot of drivers talking about turn 1 because it's really narrow, gets really narrow really quickly, and if you go too high on the turn, you can find yourself into the wall very quick. But then it's turn 3 is the one that gets everybody because you have 2 choices. You either run it right, the wall comes up to greet you, or you find yourself speeding through the pits at a blazing speed, getting a penalty. So it's anybody's race, and we'll find out who's got what setup that handles each side of the racetrack.
Strategy will be key here today at Pocono, as will be track position. We'll see drivers later on in the race taking different amounts of fuel, taking tyres, maybe not taking tyres. The cars are currently working through turn number 2 now onto the final straightaway. This is going to be a really long, hard race for these drivers. Fatigue will wear in later on. And as I say, these drivers here not only racing for the IOSWC point standings, but also for the Triple Crown with prizes for the winner. And also later on in this race, we're going to be taking our driver of the day. The driver who gets the most votes over the 3 Triple Crown races will get himself a nice, tasty prize. The pace car is currently circulating through turn number 3. We'll make that turn down to the left-hand side of pit road. The start here always comes very quickly. Goke is on the inside, Norton is on the outside, and the 20th round of the ISWC is green.
Yeah, you see Jonathan Goke getting a great start on the front, corner behind him. It's what we typically like to see. Let's hope turn 1 is always really tricky right off the racetrack. Let's hope we can get through it.
First 5 drivers, first 6, pretty much everyone is through. Okay, John Paul's out there, working on the outside of Joe Branch through turn 1. As you also see there, Brad Sanford looking down to the inside of Matthew Lambertson coming into turn number 2. Watch out, guys, to come down to see Sanford getting out of the throttle. Forces early to him now. Lambertson to keep that position as they're too wide. Coming down into turn number 3 for the first time. Joe Branch trying to work back on John Porzacker in turn. Looking down to the inside of Dennis Gaze. A nice battle there in the midfield. You see Porzacker going all the way down to the inside line there.
Getting into the wall.
And you see, I think it's just a slight tap there, but he was able to just keep it going. Everyone has completed lap number 1, and David Ward as well, getting inside around David Jinks. And Ward is settling nicely to the start of this race, but out front, it is still Goat from Norton and Cosmo running out your top 3.
Yeah, excellent job. All these racers are getting through the first lap, kind of get those jitters out of the way, not being too aggressive, and they're lined up now. So hats off to all these racers, because usually you see that in the first lap, it gets pretty hairy.
And as you're saying that, through turn number 3 again, there are 2 distinct lines. You can try and run the outside line all the way around, but you can get into the power a little bit early, especially if you haven't got traffic around you. or they're diving all the way down to the apex, taking it the shortest way around. And there is some great fighting going on from Brad Sanford in 5th, all the way back to Nico Brandt at the moment. They're too wide again. You see Joe Branch having to move all the way down to the inside of the racetrack as Dennis Gaze is very slow in turn number 1. Nico Brandt now looking to the outside, and he's going to complete the pass as they come into turn number 2. Joe Branch tucking in behind him, and this is allowing Paul Jenkins to close up to the rear of Joe Branch.
Yeah, you see they continue to race right there in that middle of the pack. Pretty good, very mixing it up back there. There's a pretty good gap rolling out from P4 to P5 there. So we're going to see probably 2 to 3 packs of racing today. I'd hazard a guess on that.
Yeah, you see there, Joe Branch is looking down to the inside of Nico Brandt. This is the battle for the, I believe it is the 10th position, sorry, the 7th and 8th position on the racetrack. Nico Brandt loses the position there to Joe Branch. Joe Branch moving himself back up into 8th at the same time. You've got yourself John Porzak being overtaken by Dennis Gaze into turn number 2. Out front, Ryan Norton has taken the race lead away from Jonathan Goke. So Norton leading as they complete lap number 4 here at Pocono, with Matthew Lambertson getting around Randy Pocono with himself up into the third position. As this race progresses,
Yellow flag.
Caution out first time, and I see Alan Wilson there spinning down on pit road, and I believe it was just an incident with himself and Eric Hunter, who gets sideways. He just got rammed in the rear there by Anna Wilson, who spun the car pretty much all the way down pit road. I think he was able to keep it, for the most part, out of the barriers. And just a slight tap, but we saw this last time we were at Pocono about 2 months ago with Monica Clare-Brand, with Randy Cosmo. That pit road is actually very wide, and there are times when you can, just get spinning off of turning 3 down pit road and keep it out of the wall.
Well, that's what I talked about earlier about turn 3, how you could find yourself rocketing down pit lane. It actually was Eric Hunter was checking up a little bit, lost a little momentum, started to get loose coming out of turn 3, and that caused Alan Wilson to check up, and he lost traction. So, and next thing you know, he's into the back of the car and shooting down pit road.
And the way this track works, especially, is each time that different drivers come down pit road, I don't think there are any. For the most part, the way this track works, you just sort of replay there, just a slight tap there. The draft in turn 3, the way it affects the handling of the car, even though Wilson got off the throttle, you almost keep that momentum going, and the car gets very tight as you come for the apex. So even if you try to drift to the left to try and avoid him, there's always that chance that you're just going to end up having a moment there, and that is where we're going to see most of our moments here today. But I have to say, not much damage to either of those race cars, which is quite surprising. I think Wilson, even though he tapped the wall, he looks like he's able to continue. We'll have a look at his lap times when this race resumes. But it doesn't look as though anyone's come down pit road at the moment. Ryan Norton is your race leader. Jonathan Goke is in 2nd. Matthew Lambertson is in 3rd. Randy Crosno in 4th. Brad Sanford in 5th. And Dennis Garis in 6th. Joe Branch in 7th. Nico Brandt in 8th. David Ward in 9th. And Paul Jenkins rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty lucky for Alan Wilson. That was some pretty good driving. He actually spun through the pit, got his penalty, but he didn't actually strike anything. So he got into his pit box, was able to get pit service, get his car straightened out, and get out ahead of the pace car. So he actually did not end up losing a lap. It looks like John Porzak is actually ending up a lap down for some reason. I'm not sure what happened to him.
So John Porzak might be out of the race. We'll have a look.
Not see a crash.
We'll have a look, see what happened, but yeah, it looks like he was just, meanwhile, having a look at Ryan Norton there. I know we're looking at Ryan, but I want to talk very quickly about Goke. He sat in the 2nd position. He started this race from pole position. There's 2 things that Sugar Plum Ferry car needs to be aware of in this race. First of all, he's trying to close that gap to Dave Jinks in the battle for the Oval Championship. Norton overtaking him, that's not much of a big deal. I mean, he really needs track position over than going for glory at the moment. And at the same time, let's not forget that every race so far this season that John Goke in the Sugar Plum Ferry car and David Ward and the Cotton Candy car have been involved in together, they've got themselves into a bit of trouble.
Well, fortunately, right now, early in the race, the Cotton Candy car, it has not moved up through the pack close enough to get anywhere to get a sniff of the Sugar Plum Fairy car, who is now currently in P2. But one of the things to mention, though, to be out front and be behind these cars, because this track, like you mentioned, has that draft, and you have to be very, very careful not to get arrow tight in each one of these corners and end up in the wall. So you really want that clean air out front. So Jonathan Goke will probably try to get that position back before too long, just so he doesn't have to spend his life looking at the rear wing of Ryan Norton.
See that lights off in the pace car. We're going to go green with 7 laps complete here in the Pocono 400 on GlacierTV. Ryan Norton slowing the field down just a little bit. That pace car is going to make that turn down towards pit road once again. It is Norton from Goke from Lamberton, and the green flag is back in the air.
You know, that's an interesting twist, too. We'll see what Matthew Lamberton has for these other two drivers. We know what kind of a driver is. We know what kind of a racer is. We've seen this before, so we'll see whether Matthew Lamberton can be content to run a few laps and stay up front with these faster cars, or whether or not he's going to be challenging for P2 right out of the gate.
That's what we get. Lamberton, Goke, Norton, Stroud and Crosno had themselves an epic battle the last time we were at Pocono, just a couple of months ago in the Pocono 250. Much longer race today. Let's see whether Lamberton uses that as a bit of a method of keeping calm early on. As you see there, Goke, he's not keeping calm. He is all over the rear of Ryan Norton as they come out of turn number 3. Looks like they lost themselves about a car length advantage though. That is what I've talked to a number of drivers about. It's not about gaining time in the final corner. It's about not losing time, because the car just gets so tight behind another driver. You just want to make sure that you don't lose any momentum that you gain on the rest of the lap.
And that's something I want to mention too. You mentioned about the pitting earlier. There actually was quite a few cars that pitted on that lap that were behind the leaders, so they were further back in the pack. So that's going to be interesting to see how that fuel plays out, even though we were only a few laps into the race.
Eric Hunter and Alan Wilson are down on pit road, so Alan Wilson is getting some repairs to his race car in the number 59 Club England machine. Eric Hunter back out on track. He's got the leaders coming all the way around him now. He's going to be careful. He's actually 4 seconds behind the race leader. He doesn't want to go a lap down, so he's going to be hoping that there is something that will just keep him in front of the
Jonathan Goke pulls underneath Ryan Norton on the back stretch. Looks like they're going to have a drag. Oh, my God, Matthew Lamberton right on the wing of Ryan Norton. Looks like Jonathan Goke's going to be able to get it done right here.
Yep.
Matthew Lamberton's looking to the inside. Oh, doesn't quite get it.
So move Goke up into the first position, move Ryan Norton down in second. Lamberton looking feisty there in the third position. I tell you what, these few drivers are not going to survive the race without something happening to one of these. See Lamberton now, he's getting a very good drive down the front straight away, moving to the left-hand side. Not always going to get some big advantage down here. As they come down into turn number 1 though, Norton looking out to the inside of the lane. Is he going to try and repay the favour coming out of turn number 1? Indeed, now he's going to the inside, and he's got himself that slow track ahead of him, which he's going to try and use the draft for, but Goke, using it to his advantage himself at the moment. You see there, he's able to keep Norton behind due to the fact that Eric Hunter was just pushing a hole in the air for him. And as they come down to turn number 3, this is where it's going to get interesting. Norton now
right,
down
Norton going
to the inside.
Oh, nice pass. Uh-oh.
Nothing complete. Goke on the inside, and he's almost spun it there. Oh! 3 wide action there, and Lamberton, Goke and Norton somehow managing to avoid carnage there. Norton back out in front, Lamberton now into the second position. Goke is falling all the way back into 4th. Randy Crosno takes the 3rd position, and let's not forget, we've still got the lap traffic in play. Eric Hunter now goes down a lap to Ryan Norton, and Matthew Lamberton is going to try and clear him if at all possible. Before turn 3, indeed he does. It's going to help him quite a lot. As Eric Hunter there, just being suave, moving to the outside line. He'll do the same in turn number 3, just getting out the throttle a little bit. And Goke really is the big loser in all of that.
Oh, yeah, he fell back quite a bit. I think he needed some time to gather himself up, unbunch his end there, and now he's going to go right back after Randy Crosno. When we talked about this earlier, some of these racers are being really aggressive this early in the race. Is probably not the best idea. It's 160 laps on a, they call this the tricky triangle for a reason. So you really got to keep your wits about you the entire race.
Derek Scarris is currently riding in the 5th position with Joe Branch in 6th. They're having themselves a nice battle. But with the moment there that happened of Goat, but pretty much punching up the field. And what it's done is it's allowed Dennis Scarris to get back into this fight. See that Goat pushing hard. And we're looking at Randy Crosby on board at the moment. He's currently sat in the 3rd position. Having a look to see whether Jonathan Goke is going to try and make a move down to the inside. He's about 2 toes behind at the moment, so not quite close enough. But Jarvis is holding his own in the 5th position at the moment. Whereas a little bit further back, Nico Brand and David Ward, they're having a good battle for 7th position. Ward looking down to the inside to come on a turn number 1, completing the pass there on the 24 machine of Nico Brand. He's going to have to try and run the higher line through turn number 2. 2 wide action here. Hold on, boys. And Brand there looking very, very close to the wall. Keeps it out by an inch. But now David Ward can have to keep it all the way down to the inside. Coming to turn number 3. You see Brand there just pinching a little bit. David Ward got away with it though, but he had to take himself a very tight apex. That would allow Brand to close back up again as they come down the front straightaway. He will now be looking down to the inside. See that? Oh no! Two-car crash there. Paul Jenkins also involved. And caution is out, of course, on the speedway. But
Paul Jenkins and Nico Brandt. Oh my gosh.
It looks as though what happened was, coming out of turn number 3, Nico Brandt down to the inside. I don't know whether or not Ward moved to the left first. I'm having a look at the replay now. We'll get one on our screen. Nico, yeah, we'll see it on your replay now. Ward moved to the left-hand side. And then Nico Brandt, I think he just moved at the same time. We wasn't expecting Ward to try and take the defensive line in turn number 1. Do you want to tax and blame either way there?
That's just hard. It's just hard racing. Nico Brandt, very, very upset. Called out for blocking right off the bat. So in his eyes, of course, right off, he's thinking that David Ward blocked him out, and Paul Jenkins get caught up with that. So that's very unfortunate for Nico Brandt. He has not had a lot of good luck in this series, and I feel for him right there.
But there's a point where David moves from the outside lane down to the middle. Exactly the same, Nico does the same. I think it's just a draft that stuck these drivers all together. His drivers are still pretty much out on the racetrack. Let's see if any come down pit road this time. And I think that was just a calamity there between those two drivers. And I don't want to attach blame to either one, because it did look as though it was just both went for the same move at the same time. Was David Ward blocking, in your opinion?
I didn't see blocking. I saw not aware of exactly where Nico Brandt was at the time. And again, with this draft, I think they just ended up getting, like a magnet, just kind of get sucked into each other for an open wheel. And David Ward's still on the track, and I think it was just a slight touch. I think it was the fact that Nico Brandt and Paul Jenkins got into each other that caused the actual wreck itself.
I think personally, I'm going to go back to that myself. I think that it was the fact that I think that Nico was just trying to turn to the right, realising that Ward had moved to the left, which forced him into the wall, which then collected Jenkins, which, I mean, it's a big shame for these drivers. We're under our second caution of the day here at Pocono Raceway, and Ryan Norton's still your race leader.
And you've got Randy Krosnos, you've got, looks like Jonathan Goke is pitting. Joe Branch pitted. So you do have some drivers pitting here. So we definitely have some alternate fuel strategies here, because it doesn't look like Ryan Norton pitted. He stayed out on the racetrack.
We're going to try and get ourselves another replay there of the incident with those two drivers. 1 second. But I think that this is where strategy is really going to come into play, Rob, because at the end of the day, these drivers, they're going to have to really think about where they are now in the race. What would happen if this race was to go green for the entire way now? And, everything else that would come into play later on in this race, the tyre strategy, fuel strategy. Norton out front is going to have a rocket fast car now, passing the drives behind him, but he might have to put under green.
I think he's hoping, because we've already had 2 cautions out here on the racetrack, that he'll have enough fuel and enough tires to get him to the next caution, which gives him the advantage of taking more fuel now, but less fuel later in the race when he thinks that'll be the most important. But once again, got a lot of cars driving, fairly well here. So hopefully everybody's kind of all right. Calm down. A lot of race to go. Making clean passes and not racing so, getting on the edge this early in the race, because cautions are inevitable when that happens.
Yeah. So you see that the field is going to go green next time by the look of things. And you see there, the lights are off on the pace car. It's going to go green next time by. Your race leader is still Ryan Norton. Matthew Lambertson is now up into the 2nd position. Dennis Garris is in 3rd. Randy Crosno in 4th. Joe Branch in 5th. David Ward in 6th. Guess what? Ward and Goke are 6th and 7th and 6th respectively.
Oh no.
Dave Jinks in 8th. GC number 9. Julian Pham running at your top 10. We have got John Porzak 5 laps down. Nico Brandt out of the race. Brad Sanford 2 laps down. Paul Jenkins is a lap down. Alan Wilson's a lap down. And Eric Hunter is also 1 lap down. These drivers all have to take some repairs to their race car. And they'll have to now try and get back to the field.
Well, hopefully we can keep this race with as many cars on the lead lap as possible. But, anytime you're at a racetrack like Pocono, you've really, really got to pay attention to the race. You've really got to run a smart race and watch where you're trying to overtake. And that's going to be key to keeping as many cars as possible on this lead lap.
Yeah, here at Pocono, it really isn't the case of got to pass them all. It's a case of you've got to just try and relax. At points, strategy will be against you. At points, strategy will be with you. At times, if you can manage those tyres successfully in the first half of the run, you can be lightning quick in the second part. And I've seen drivers, in similar setups, similar pace at the start of the run, losing an awful amount of time later on because they've been stuck behind other drivers. And then, the amount of speed that you lose, other drivers will just sail past you. But the pace car coming through turn number 3 again, we're going to have ourselves 18 laps in the book as we'll come past the start-finish line. Ryan Norton will be controlling the field once again. We're going to get an onboard from him as we go back to green flag racing. Let's not forget Lambertson is in 2nd, Garris in 3rd, Crosno in 4th, Joe Branch in 5th. Pace car looking to the left, Norton all the way on the outside line, and the green flag is back in hand here at Pocono.
Going green. This is going to be an interesting setup right here, because you have racers that are typically kind of laid back. You've got Randy Crosby who likes to just finish the race. You've got Joe Branch who takes his time, very patient racers. And then you've got people behind Jonathan Cook and David Ward who are typically not patient at all. And as you see right off the bat, we've got action going on the backstretch, and
See, Joe Branter, he was looking all the way to the outside of Randy Crosno. He's still trying to complete that pass. They're going 2 wides into drop of the green flag here. Jonathan Goat almost made it through down the field straight away as they come into turn 3. You see that Branch indeed does finally complete the pass. And he's got himself Alan Wilson ahead of him, who is 1 lap down. These drivers, some of these drivers are wanting to make their way back to the field. Randy Crosno is now looking down to the inside once again as they come down to turn number 1. Joe Branch was so powerful on the outside line last time by. It's going to be interesting to see now as Joe Branch is
Jonathan Cook going 3 wide. Oh, gosh.
And he's now looking down to the inside as they come off the corner. And that was 3 wide for a minute there. Where you've got Adam Wilson, Randy Crosno, watch out, guys, coming into turn 3. Turn 2
this
then,
is not good. This is not good. Oh my gosh, up into the wall. We've got a car into the wall. He's going to have to slide back in there. See, this is what we're talking about. Unbelievable. I have to say, guys, pay attention. We've got a lot of race to go. This is not how you want to race this.
And Alan Wilson there, he was a lap down. I think he was just trying to get out of the waiting point and just got a little bit of a tap with the wall there in turn 2. A little bit ahead of him, however. You've got yourself now go looking to the inside.
Go underneath you. Randy Crawford just lets him by. You can see how he moved high. He didn't want anything to do with any crashing this early in the race. David Ward will probably be coming up to it, and I'll bet you anything Joe Branch and Randy Crosby will just let those. Nope, Randy Crosby's looking underneath. Oh my goodness.
Completes the pass there to move himself back up into the 4th position whilst it's going on, guys. you've got yourself a three-car breakaway with Ryan Norton, Matthew Lamberton, and Darius Garris batting in the top three positions, and they have now stepped themselves up to over a 3-second gap on Randy Crosby, who's currently sat in the fourth position. 3.8 seconds as they come across the line. And these drivers at some point are going to have to just line up and try and gain that position back. Of course, now he's got himself Eric Hunter, who is currently scored as 1 lap down. The first car 1 lap down. He's going to try and get his way back through the field if at all possible. So he wants to hold on to his position on track at the moment. But Crosby closing him down dramatically. And this is not the place that you want to catch slow traffic as you come down to turn 3. You get yourself oh so aero-tight as you come through the apex of this. And it looks as though, first for the time being, Jonathan Goke has settled back into a rhythm as the straight branch behind. And then you've got yourself the pink car of David Ward, the number 69 machine. Looks though he hasn't got too much rear wing damage to that car, as he is in 7th position at the moment. But I have to say, the wild card here is Dennis Garris in the number 16 Slowpoke Racing machine.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of one of those things where almost survival is the key here. Stay out of trouble, and you can find yourself in all kinds of interesting positions. And Dennis Garris is not somebody we thought we'd see up front this early in the race, but he's definitely stayed out of trouble, and now he's floating up front with the leaders. And all this battle back here for 4th, 5th, and 6th is allowed that gap to open up to an incredible amount. And now it looks like they've settled it down. They've come to the realization that this was kind of dumb racing that we were doing. Let's just get up there and see if we can catch those leaders.
I just think everyone could hear Yoni loading his shotgun. But it looks as though Lamberton and Norton are looking very well together out front. They've pulled themselves up to a 6/10 gap over Dennis Garris in the 3rd spot. And see, Lamberton, yeah, he's having a little bit of a look, but I think that might just be to break the jar for a bit, going to turn number 3. A little bit further back, you see, you've got Randy Crosby now. He's eaten himself up a couple of attempts for the gap over John Goat in the 08 car in 5th position. Back further through the field, let's just take a look momentarily at Jason Lindemann in the number 9, in the number 82 machine. He is currently trying to get himself around Alan Wilson. And you see, congratulations to him for one of his first IndyCar races a couple of days ago at Silverstone. But he's doing a good job on that number 82 machine. And I think he's trying to close down Dave Jinks at the moment, as Jinks is having a couple of bad laps at the minute. His last lap was a 41.8.
Well, and Dave Jinks, being our oval and our overall points champion in this series, he's a smart racer. He understands that all he has to do is finish probably within the top 10, and he's still maintain most of his lead, unless Jonathan Goke can manage to get up in front and put some serious points on him. But Dave Jinks is a very patient racer, so I expect to see him moving up as the race goes on.
And you see that Dave Jinks is only about half a second behind David Ward. He got himself a huge draft down front straight away and lost about a tenth or two there in turn number 1. Trying to now close down David Ward once again, who's got himself a little bit of traffic ahead of him as well. In fact, they said that Joe Bryan just dropped back, because he was right in that battle with Goke and Pocono earlier on. He's now dropped back. He's 2 seconds behind that battle and is under attack with David Ward in number 69 team.
Yeah, and something too I wanted to point out that up front with Ryan Norton and Matthew Lamberton, I have to send a shout out and kudos to Matthew Lamberton for being patient and working with Ryan Norton up front to increase that lead, because Matthew Lamberton traditionally is not the kind of racer to sit back and be patient. If he sniffs that lead, he's always gone for it in the past. So apparently he's matured in his racecraft a little bit here, and he's going to just go ahead and stay up front, stay within striking distance of Ryan Norton, and hopefully save fuel and probably save tires.
You see that he just looks to the inside. I'm not sure if he's trying to dummy Norton into a move or just trying to get out of the draft a little bit. But you can gain a lot of time just by sitting behind another driver and looking after your tyres and looking after your fuel mileage. So let's not forget that Norton, Lamberton and Garris did not pit on that second portion. Crosby and Goke did, however. So in the moment, it's interesting to see which one of these drivers in the catbird seat. Only having a look at Jonathan Goke in the number 08 machine. We have completed now 27 laps here at the Pocono 400. Sorry, 29 laps here at the Pocono 400. Sorry about that. And that is David Ward in the wall there in the 69 machine, bringing out our third caution of the day. And let's see, was there any other drivers involved in that? He just got loose there. You see the car just snapping around on him. So they came down the front straight away. It looks as though he might have just missed everyone. Indeed he does, and he's now trying it down pit road. And David Ward, very fast racer, but it looks as though Tom Tree caught him out.
That's the second incident he's been involved with today. Obviously the first one was Nico Brandt. Now it looks like he just gets loose in the turn 3 victim. Yep. Oh, looks like, you know, in turn 3 you've got to be very careful, because if you oversteer the car coming out of that turn, you definitely will swap ends on this racetrack. And as you see, he gets into the wall and down through and tries to get himself into the pits.
You know who the big loser in all of this is? Ryan Norton, Matthew Lamberton, and Darius Garris, because these drivers now are going to have to come down pit road. Krosno and Goke might come down pit road, but even if they do, they're going to have to take a lot less fuel in comparison to these other drivers. We're just going to go back and have a look at the incident on our second caution. We're going to get our GlacierTV slow-mo cam up, and we'll just have a look for the incident. And I've had a number of looks at it as we were going last time, and it does look as though David Ward moves to the left. At the same time, Nico Brandt has exactly the same idea. And in fact, you see Ward just probably less than half a second ahead in his thinking. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we always say that drivers should maintain a steady line, but at Indy especially, you know, you always want to try and maneuver yourself to the middle of the racetrack to make it more difficult to other drivers to overtake. And the same almost applies here, because you don't want to have yourself a moment where sorry, we haven't got our replay up there, we're trying to get it onto our screen. You don't want to have a moment where coming down to turn 1, if you're all the way down the inside, you've got to take a very tight apex, get out of the throttle, and the guy on the outside almost gets himself a bit more momentum. So having a look, and cannot believe, see that at the very last moment.
Oh, last minute.
That was cheeky there by Norton Lamberton. You see Dennis Garris is already coming down pit road. However, Randy Krosno stays out on the racetrack, so he is going to lead, coming back to this green flag in a couple of laps here. John Goke also comes down pit road, and as does using them with it, and John Porzak down the end. Julian Pham, Grant Sumford, John Ailes. Drivers who didn't come down pit road, this is probably the more interesting thing. You've got Paul Jenkins, Alan Wilson, Eric Hunter, Dave Jinks, Joe Branch, and Randy Krosno. Because Krosno, Branch, and Jinks didn't pit, that is pinning Eric Hunter, Alan Wilson, and Paul Jenkins one lap down. So if I were these guys, I'd probably come in and top off now and try and use that strategy to get back in the lead lap later on.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about earlier about the patience and the strategy, because Dave Jinks, our current points leader, was back in the pack, and then now because of this pit strategy and the fact that Ryan Norton, Matthew Lamberton, and Dennis Garris had to pit, now he finds himself with great track position going on into this next stint of the race, and we'll see how that works out.
And let's not forget that single file restarts means that the drivers who are laps down will not get shuffled to the back until the last 10 laps of the race. So Ryan Norton, who I believe will come back out on track around the 7th to 8th position mark, I'll take that back. Yeah, he'll probably come out around about 6th, 7th even. He's got to get himself, Ryan Norton, around John Porzak, Paul Jenkins, Alan Wilson, and Eric Hunter before he can even think about getting himself around the likes of Jinks, Branch, and Krosno. So that is going to be really, really interesting.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think this next stint is going to have some incredible racing, because you've got all those people that were in the lead now are not in the lead. They're coming up against a bunch of slower traffic, and you've got racers like Ryan Norton, Matthew Lamberton are traditionally very fast and want to get up through there. So I think for the first 5 or 6 laps, you're going to see a lot of action going through the middle of the pack here, and hopefully they can keep it clean while they're doing it. But that gives Randy Krosno's and Joe Branch and Dave Jinks time while they're battling it out to possibly open up a gap between them and the other racers, making it, very difficult for Ryan Norton and Matthew Lambertson to actually catch up and make a run for the front of the pack.
So, we are currently working lap number 32 here at the ISOWC Pocono 400 on GlacierTV. With Vincent Gold Johnson in the booth. Your race leader, Randy Crosno, in the number 4 ROX Racing Machine. Jay Branch is in second position. Dave Jinks in third. Ryan Norton is in the fourth spot, with Jonathan Goke in fifth. Dennis Garris in sixth. UC Nillerman is in the seventh position. Danny Inch in eighth. Julian Pham in ninth. And John Ailes rounding out your top 10. Lights are out in the pace car. And we are going to be going green this time by with 32 laps scored complete. And these drivers still have 127 laps to go. 28 laps to go, even.
Interesting enough, too, is what happened to Matthew Lambertson in his pit box. He goes in number 2 and comes out in 11th position, so he definitely had a horrible pit stop there. So that's going to be interesting as well, because Matthew Lambertson is not a patient racer usually in the past, so it's going to see what happens as he tries to make his way through the pack.
Yep. You see the pace car is currently working down that short straightaway between turns number 2 and 3. We are going to be going this time by, and back through the pack, we're going to have ourselves a humongous traffic jam coming down into turn number 1. And in fact, we'll keep an eye on that.
We're taking a look at Jonathan Goke there, so we're going to kind of keep an eye on the fast part of the pack coming up to the slower part of the pack and see what kind of racing we get, because I anticipate the first 3 drivers to pretty much check out for the first 3 or 4 laps. So let's see what kind of racing we get here.
Green flag back on the air. Randy Crosno takes the green flag, leading this race here. And you've got yourself Ryan Norton looking down to the inside of Paul Jenkins. Works out, and you see Jonathan Goke there. He had himself a slow restart. So he's going to catch his traffic in the middle part of this lap as Norton gets himself around there. Paul Jenkins now trying to close himself down on Eric Hunter.
Jonathan Goke on the inside of Norton. There we go, right off the bat.
And he completes the pass. Norton was very slow from turn 1 there. So Goke able to use that traffic to full advantage coming down to turn 2. Norton just putting out the bottle just a little bit. But now they've got to get themselves around Eric Hunter, who is in the number 99 machine coming through turn number 3. Jonathan Goke slowing that car down a little bit, just sliding off the throttle there, and they will build that speed back up down the front straight away. A great drive for him now coming down. He's got some humongous amount of draft, but just not able to close down enough coming down into turn number 1. But it looks like Eric Hunter is just going to try and go down the outside. Indeed he does, but it's Goke go past, and he'll let Norton.
Getting out of the way.
Yes, just get past. And Goke very slow there. That allows Ryan Norton to get back.
Norton shotgunning by Jonathan Goke. What a pass. There was huge momentum there.
So Jonathan Goke now falls back into the 5th position. And Dave Jinks there, currently sat in the 3rd position. He can just see these 2 closing down on him. He's got himself a second gap between himself and Joe Branch, who sat in the 2nd position. So they come across the line once again. It's like, yeah, that gap is now up to 1.3 seconds behind Randy Pocono, who's the race leader. So they just falling into the trap there of Ryan Norton and John Goke, currently battling for 4th and 5th on the racetrack. A little bit further back through the field, you see Matthew Lambertson trying now to work on the number 82 machine of GC Nillerman, who's currently sat in the 7th position as Dan Lee Edge is slow there in the number 52 machine. And I believe that is David Ward is lapped down, just breezing past him. Dan Lee Edge is very slow there, and in fact that is going to allow him to come under pressure from Brad Sanford in the 09 car.
It looks like Matthew Lambertson is going to go ahead and close up the gap, and he's looking for a position. Once again, I'm very surprised by Matthew Lambertson's patient racing style today. I think that's going to pay off for him in the end if he can continue to do that. As we look at Ryan Norton kind of closing the gap there, it looks like they are indeed doing a good job of not being overly aggressive and working their way up through the pack. So, good racing, everybody.
So, having a little bit like through the drivers who are currently back down. Eric Hunter sat in 12th position, Paul Jenkins in 13th, David Ward in 14th, and Anna Wilson in 15th. Anna Wilson's had some very slow laps across a couple of tours around this 2.5-mile racetrack. As you see there, Dennis Gary's now looking down to the inside of Eric Hunter to put him a lap down from himself. And then Garris is trying to close to the rear of that Goke and Norton battle. And it looks as though his last is sitting behind him. After looking on board Ryan Norton at the moment himself has closed down Dave Jinks. But we've got ourselves a big back over here with Joe Bryant, Dave Jinks, Ryan Norton, John Goach and Gareth Garris. You see there Norton looking to the outside. Don't do that, Norton this early in the race. Taking a high arc from the corner. This will allow him to get better drive off the corner. Onto the front straightaway, but it looks as though Jinks has got a nice run himself on the inside line.
Yeah, and while all that's going on, amazingly enough, what we don't see often, Randy Crossell is really, really ripping out front. He is just pulling away from Joe Branch in P2. Randy Crossell has managed to hit the nitrous or whatever, but he's really running hard out front. That's great racing by Randy Crossell.
Ryan Norton there, very, very slow on the rear of Dave Jinks, struggling a little bit through turn 2 with Jinks. Just having a look there at Ryan Pocono. He's had himself an up and down season so many times. In fact, last time we were at Pocono, he joined us up in the box again. And this second part of the season, for Pocono, has gone a lot better. And he's bridged that gap up now to 2 seconds as he goes down to second himself. He's just keeping about a half gap to Dave Jinks in third.
Yeah, and that's really going to help him out because Ryan Norton and Jonathan Goach are definitely going to looking to the inside there, looking to the inside of Dave Jinks there. Looks like they're going to make the pass 2 at a time.
And I think Dennis Jinks there, realising, as you see there, that was another car. I think that was Dennis Garris getting past. I think Jinks just wanted to settle back into the red and wasn't happy with Norton, pushing the way he was. And for Norton, he's now got to try and close down Joe Bryant, but at the same time, try and minimise huge advantage that Pocono is getting up front as it's almost up to 2.5 seconds as they bring it down to turn number 1 once again.
Yeah,
Gareth all the way up there, falling very high in the number 16 machine, and he's now under attack. In fact, Dave Jinks is going to try and make the pass coming down into turn number 2. It looks as though Gareth just flipped the curb in turn number 1. That happens so often. Just as you get yourself onto that white curbing, it looks harmless. And then all of a sudden, you just bounce up the racetrack, and with 2 wide, that always causes some huge trouble for the drivers.
And it looks like P3, P4, and P5 are actually pulling away from Dave Jinks and company back there for position number 6. So again, they're closing the gap. Looks like they're pushing Joe Branch. And Randy Croswell continues to pull away from the pack, and it looks like Ryan Norton's going to make a move on Joe Branch. I guarantee that Jonathan Goach will follow right on his rear wing. We'll see what happens here. Yes, there it is.
And Jonathan Goach
holding on.
But Joe Bryant, you can see that almost 3 wide coming into turn number 3. Norton taking a defensive line into the corner. Jonathan Goach is going to try and work that inside line, getting himself a bit of wood as they go for the apex. Joe Bryant all the way on the outside and retake.
Nice job, Joe Branch. Great job on the outside line to hold off Norton and Goach. That's a great driving by Joe Branch.
And Norton is just going to think, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, he's not going to get that. Woo. Nice.
And just bring it into another battle coming up on the racetrack. You see that Goach now looking down to the inside of Ryan Norton into turn 2.
Oh, pinching.
Oh, he does the job.
He's going to get it done.
Now, can he try and get the drive on through turn number 3 onto Joe number Branch, and Joe number Branch, Joe Branch even, as they come through turn number 3. Shut up, Doyle.
Yes, absolutely.
I was about to say,
falling back behind. Looks like probably doesn't want any more racing right now. Looks like he's going to relax for a bit. Jonathan Goach, he has no relax mode, so we're going to see what happens here.
Matthew Lambert, he's caught up to the rear of Dennis Garris and Dave Jinks. We've got ourselves a 3-car battle now for 5th, 6th and 7th on the racetrack. Dave Jinks in the 5th position, Dennis Garris in the 6th position, driving there in the number 16 Slowpoke racing car, and then Matthew Lambert in the number 19 Boy Scouts of America car is sat in the 7th position. And without us knowing, Lambert is gaining himself 5 positions on the racetrack, but also keep himself in check with this battle from 2nd all the way back down to 7th.
Yeah, again, I'm very impressed with Matthew Anderson today, how he's changed his driving style, and understanding that with this many laps in the race, one position at a time, even 1 every 10 laps is good from where he was at. He'll find there's still another 1 to possibly 2 pit stops are going to have to take place here, and hopefully he can make up for whatever happened to him on that last pit round. That was not good for him, but I think he'll be up here before the end of the race.
Goat there trying to look down to the inside in turn number 3, not quite close enough. In fact, he's got himself a bit of wiggle coming out of turn number 2. And he saw you on board of him there, down to turn number 1, just tipping that curve once again. And he got himself a huge wiggle in that 08 machine as he's dropped back a bit from the rear of Joe Bryant that last lap. But Randy Cosmo up front, the gap up to 4 seconds now over Joe Bryant in second and Jonathan Goat in third. Cosmo having a tremendous drive here. And let's not forget, if you were to put the Triple Crown races into last season's schedule, guess who won the last Triple Crown race? It would have been Randy Cosmo in Michigan 500.
Yeah, Randy, I mean, he's driving a bullet today. It's just amazing how much time he's put on the rest of the racers because of the battles going on. So that's going to play into his hands. If he can keep control of his car, not get out of control, next round of pits, he's going to be in unless it's under caution. If they have to pit green flag, that's a huge advantage for Randy Crosby.
We just had a car on turn 3, trying to get an update on who that is. And just, I mean, having a look at the lap times, Randy Crosby's last lap was a 1 minute, a 41.170. Doing 1 minute lap here, you're desperately slow. John Goat's last lap was a 41.212. In fact, he's right on the rear now. Or Joe Bryant coming down into turn number 3. And getting something on that high line, but he can try and do the cut under if he gets a good drive out of here. Joe Bryant really slow on the exit of that corner. That all Goat closed down through turn number 1. If he just get himself a good line, don't go too low and hit that apron. But he's just losing desperate amounts of time behind Joe Bryant at the moment. And every lap, Crosby is able to pull away. In fact, he's now got himself a very good drive. Now we can try and have a look down to the inside of turn number 2, but we've seen how good Joe Bryant is on the outside here at Pocono. But Jonathan Goat is going to make the car stick there, coming out of turn number 2, and Joe Bryant again.
Joe Branch, here comes Joe Branch on the outside. Jonathan Goat has to lift on that inside line to see if he can make it stick. Branch is not giving it up. He does.
Back to the inside.
Back to the inside. Joe Branch having none of that. He's going to fight it out. Looks like he's lost enough momentum. And Ryan Norton will follow Jonathan Goat back around Joe Branch. Hey, great race, Joe Branch. Yeah, really fight that off. So that was some great racing right there.
And caution out here at Pocono. We've got ourselves a car in the wall. Our third caution of the day with 48 laps scored complete, in fact. And it is, guess who it is? David Ward in the 69 car.
David Ward. Not having a good day.
No, he is now going to be out of this race. That car is beyond repair. Just loading it on the exit of turn 3 once again. And Juicy just T-boning him there in the number 82 machine.
Oh, and then you have to do an additional thing. Randy Crosby, how disappointed are you in the fact that caution came out right there? Taking away all his, that's just too bad because he had such a run.
Although, let's not forget, Randy Cosmo didn't pit that last time. So now, boots on the other foot. Yes, he can come down pit road, but he's going to be the one losing himself about 5 or 6 positions by the fact that he's going to have to take more fuel than the other drivers around him. So the strategy game continues.
Absolutely. That is not what he wanted right here. He did not want a caution. He would have been better off pitting under the ring because he had such a huge advantage. But now that advantage is gone. He's probably going to have no choice but to come down. We don't know. I don't think Jonathan Goat and Ryan Norton do have to pit at this point in time. So he may relinquish the lead, and then we're back up to where we started 2 pit sequences ago.
And we're just going to have a look, talk to David Ward. You've had yourself a very interesting day here today. 3 moments.
Dave.
Yeah. Dave. It just looks as though turn 3 wasn't your friend today.
No, it just seems to get a little bit loose, so just coming out of there. So, yeah, one of them things. Can't do anything about
it. The first incident, I want to take you all the way back to that first incident, yourself and Nico Brown. Nico called you out a little bit for blocking, but, I mean, take us through that moment from your perspective. Were you just defending the line? Was it miscommunication? What happened?
Oh, I think I just moved over a little bit just to make him go a little bit longer around me, and Next thing I know, I was hit, but we'd already made contact in the corner as well before then when I was making the pass, so it was kind of, yeah, just one of those things. I wouldn't say it was blocking. I need to have a look at the replay, but from my point of view, no.
And, I mean, you've had yourself an interesting couple of races in the Afternoon IndyCar Series. Not the Afternoon IndyCar Series. What am I talking about? Whatever.
What series is that? We don't know that race.
Yeah, what's the Afternoon? But next week, we're going to one of your more favourite tracks in Finland Raceway, also known as Simona Raceway nowadays, since they've got rid of the Infineon sponsorship. But next week in Sonoma, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good race. It's going to be tough again. I mean, a lot of the guys are going to be up on pace. Yeah, just a bit disappointed. I would have liked to have finished this race. It's just pushing too hard.
And while all that's happening, you saw it on your screen. Jonathan Goat has taken the race lead there in that sequence of pit stops. Pretty much everyone came down pit road there, and Jonathan Goat will inherit, I think, your race lead. I'm just going to see. Oh my God, that was close there for Jonathan Goat. You had yourself a slow car on the outside of turn number 2. That was Matthew Lamberton, who's just stationary there, and I think Matthew Lamberton might be having one of his famous telephone breaks. But Eric Hunter, Paul Jenkins and Wilson, congratulations, you've now got your lap back as long as you don't pit. Jonathan Goat in the 08 machine gets out ahead of Ryan Norton. Ryan came out of that in the 2nd position. Randy Crosno somehow gets himself up into 3rd. So good strategy call there by Crosno, because he's kept himself in the top 3 there.
Yeah, he pitted. He was pitted right when he wanted to put himself back on the same strategy as Norton and Goak. Joe Branch followed him in. Matthew Lambertson was able to actually make up 2 to 3 spots on that pit to make up for that bad pit he had last time. So your top 5 when this shakes out is going to be a very interesting race going to be happening up here up front. And now that we know that Randy Crosses has a, basically the 3.5 slug for a car, it's going to be, we're going to see what he does up front here. And now Matthew Lambertson is right up to the front of the pack as well.
And just having a look back in the 4th position at Mr. Joseph Branch, not been able to race much this season, which has hurt his championship standings. He's done him with a part-time role. He's sat, unfortunately, all the way down in 42nd place in the combined championship standings. I have absolutely no idea what that translates into in the Oval Championship. But Joe, I mean, when he's on the racetrack, he loves tracks like Pocono, the drivers' tracks, Pocono, Phoenix, Milwaukee, New Hampshire, Richmond. Being this first over racing season, he's doing himself one hell of a showing there, the Club Indiana driver.
Yeah, Joe is more of a purist. He's actually an IndyCar fan, so he likes the tracks that show more of the driver's tracks. And he's really good on the road courses, and unfortunately he hasn't been able to participate in a lot of races. And so the only reason why we're not seeing Joe Branch higher in the standings is purely due to mostly participation. But he's a very patient racer who isn't that guy that you really realize what's going on until next thing you know he's in the top 5.
Luckily for you, you won't get a chance to answer this, but are you saying that there are certain drivers in this field who aren't IndyCar fans? I thought so. So we're going to go back to Green Flag Racing with 51 laps. Scored complete. Jonathan Goat is your race leader. Ryan Norton, apparently the guy who doesn't like IndyCar racing, in 2nd. Randy Crosland in 3rd. Dennis Garrett in 4th. Jake Branch in 5th. And Green Flag is back in the air.
Jonathan Goat off to a phenomenal start here at Pocono.
And Ryan Norton, though, he didn't lose too much there in the 2nd position to come down to turn number 1 for the first time. I know these cars hate turn 1 on cold tyres. You see that close. Coach and Norton struggling a little bit, but Norton getting himself a good drive there. As they come down the back straight away into turn number 2, he might just need to dive down the inside to come into the 3rd and final corner of this racetrack. In fact, he's got himself a tremendous run there. Norton is now going to look down to the inside of turn number 3. This is the battle for the race lead, and Norton on that inside line has got Goat. And I think Goat might
Randy
just
Cross
be
is
able to
coming
keep
on the
it.
outside. Oh.
And Crosno goes past it. Oh my God, that was close. That was less than nothing there. And Crosno just dives down to the inside. He takes the race lead away from Crosno, who turns us back down to the inside. And Crosno falls all the way back to there.
With Lambertson looking on the inside. This is the old Lambertson arena.
Randy Crosno, there was no more than a tire length between himself and Ryan Norton clear as he pulls from the left, so from right to the left to overtake John Goat. Just lost momentum in turn one. You see there, Matthew Lambertson himself losing momentum now. That gives Norton back in second position. So it is Jonathan Goat to Ryan Norton from Matthew Lambertson from Dennis Garris, Joe Branch in fifth now, and Randy Crosno falling all the way back into the sixth position. But these six drivers are currently separated by less than 2 seconds on the racetrack. In fact, they're separated by less than 1 second on the racetrack. And you can't stop because at any moment one of these drivers is going to try and overtake another one.
Yeah, it's like, just want to call out careful, boys. Still a lot of race to go, only lap 54. And hopefully they'll settle in, they'll settle down. Ryan Norton's definitely going to go for a pass. Looks like he's trying to set up Jonathan Goat there. But it's like the first three laps coming around after the restart, everybody kind of really in that mode, but let's hopefully can settle back down again. It looks like we got 3 sets of 2 up front there, so we'll see what happens.
Dennis Garris got himself very loose in turn number 3, lost himself a bit of momentum. This is where you see most of the passing happening as they're coming out of turn number 1, down into turn number 2. Norton, he's got himself a good run down the back, so he's going to possibly try and look down to the inside of Jonathan Goat. Not quite this time. Goat preserving his line in turn number 2, and that allows him to keep about a half-line gap to Ryan Norton as they come down into turn number 3. Norton doesn't like turn number 3. He cannot gain any momentum there at the moment.
Yeah, the philosophy there, like you said earlier, is just not to lose too much time and then go after it in the straight. And it's kind of interesting, as people kind of back over the race, I think they're waiting for Jonathan Goat and Ryan Norton, who've been battling all race long, them to get into each other so they can go ahead and take over the lead. Oh, spin.
And that is Joe Branch there in the number 27 machine into the wall of turn number 1. I think we're going to stay green. He just hits the wall.
Joe Branch, solo accident.
He just hits the wall, spins the car, and then behind it, you had someone behind there as well having a secondary impact. And it was down the edge getting himself into the wall and going flipping over there. And as was John Ailes in the number 14 machine. John Ailes, humongous impact for him. We're back under caution here at Pocono for the 4th time, and that was not anyone pushing too hard. That was just, a bit of a bad line. Looks like some of these cars are starting to get tight there.
Oh yeah, we had going outside on that was too wide there. He just could not get on his car. He was letting off the throttle and just could not. He had too much air push into the wall, so that's unfortunate. Then he did the ricochet, which ended up taking other cars out. So very, very unfortunate set of circumstances there.
So we're back on caution here at Pocono. We'll probably have. I tell you what, this race track is really interesting. So this race goes green now. It's going to be 2 stops plus about 5 laps. So there's many options these drivers can take. Jonathan Goat is your race leader. I don't expect him coming down pit road, as I expect with Norton. Lambertson might go off strategy, as might Garris and Crosno. But this really is, you see there, just have a look at the replay of John Ailes. I think that's Brad Sanford who's involved in something there as well. But if you just
he flipped over the top of Joe Branch. When Joe Branch came down off the wall, Brad Sanford got into his rear wheel and just flipped over the top of him into the grass.
I have to say, this is where things get really interesting, because it's something, let's see when pit road opens. I think Ryan Norton's coming down pit road. Indeed, he does commit to pit road, as does Dennis Garris and Randy Crosno. So it's like 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 hit back. Julian Fallon comes down pit road, and Wilson comes down. And to some of these drivers who were like that, who's got themselves back onto the lead, that is going to be helpful for them. And just confirmation, it was a number 14 machine for John Ailes. It was the one who just flipped in the air there 14 Old Spice machine. Get yourself a replay of that momentarily there. Our cameraman is working around the clock. Hello again. See there, the replay of John Ailes there. Just bad timing there by all these drivers, and that's what caused the incident. This is interesting. You've got yourself Goat and Lambertson. They're now off strategy. You've got yourself Ryan Norton, who is behind a lot of that traffic. And he's got himself Dave Jinks who's moved ahead of him into third.
Well, that's interesting too, because Jonathan Goke and Ryan Norton were on the same pit strategy at the beginning of the race. Now that's swapped up because Randy Krausos and Joe Branch were on a different pit strategy, but last pit sequence they moved it together, and now Jonathan Goke stayed out, Ryan Norton goes in, and Randy goes in. Of course, obviously Joe is on his own pit strategy now. But that's kind of interesting how they're actually swapping up the pit strategies as the race goes on.
And so far, I have to say, the trump card, the driver who we didn't expect to really be in this position is probably Matthew Lamberton, because he's been all the way far back as 11th position in this race. He has he qualified in the 4th position, and he's just somehow managed to work himself back into contention. He was running second early on this race, dropped back up to second. He's now got Jonathan Goke, and I know these two drivers love racing each other, as Jonathan Goke, in fact, is going to come down pit road. And no, he doesn't.
No,
big
Jonathan, Jiminy Christmas. Apparently we're still in the bush race.
So, Jonathan Goke, Matthew Lamberton, who do you think is going to be on top in the next 5 laps?
I actually think Jonathan Goke's going to hang on to the lead, but if Matthew Lamberton runs this race like he's run the rest of the race so far, more patient, not quite as aggressive as he has been in the past, I think there's every possibility that Matthew Lamberton could come out on top on lap 160.
So to run through your top 5, Jonathan Goke is your race leader, Matthew Lamberton is in 2nd, Dave Jinks is in 3rd, Ryan Norton 4th, Dennis Garris in the 5th position. However, in between Matthew Lamberton, between Dave Jinks and Ryan Norton, you've got yourself Brad Sanford, John Porzak, Paul Jenkins, Eric Hunter. So 4 drivers for Ryan Norton to get around, and we saw earlier on, as soon as you lose that draft, you really do fall back. And Goke and Lamberton, if they work together, they really could now try and pull away from this field.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know what to look at, because I have a funny feeling right up front there could be a big battle for the lead, but then also Ryan Norton making his way through the pack, which is inevitable to happen, and see if Dennis Garis, who has really managed to stay with that pack, and see how he manages it.
So lights are off for the pace car. We're going to go back to green flag racing with 59 of 160 laps scored complete. 4 cautions here today. Pretty much all of them, except for one, was an incident in turn number 3. We've had our first incident in turn number 1 today. We've got ourselves 8 drivers on the lead lap. And we are going to be going back to green flag racing now.
On board with Randy Krauser right there. Running through, we're going to be able to see we've got 2 cars ahead of him. He's got Dennis Garis and Ryan Norton.
He's got himself around 3 of those black cars. He's now trying to work himself on John Porter as he comes from turn number 1. Norton has really had a great start that last time by working that outside line really to his advantage. So come down the short street down into turn number 2, the corner modelled off Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He is going to try and close down that gap to Porzak. Now let's not forget that Porzak and Sanford are no slouches at all. In fact, you see there, Sanford just trying to work down the inside, trying to get himself back into position around Dave Jinks.
Yeah. And I actually think you could actually call that and classify Ryan Stark as the official Thunder Start, if anybody wants to use that term. That
Maybe it's because you watched too much NASCAR?
Apparently so.
Matthew Lamberton there, he is now in race mode as we have ourselves 60 laps in the books So from Lambertson, it's like, okay, normal race distance now, off we go. And Lambertson, the gap between himself and Jonathan goes less than 2 tenths of a second, running through turn number 2. Lambertson taking a high line there, just to try and close that draft off into turn number 3, trying to get a higher apex. Yes, indeed he does. Goke there taking the low line, but Lambertson really is charging through this in this second part of the race, and the gap is just over 2 tenths of a second.
So Ryan Norton just making his way past John Porzak there. Looks like John kind of let him go there, and Ryan's definitely trying to make a charge up in the back.
And you see that Joe Bryant as well, getting himself around Anna Wilson. And you see also Eric Hunter managing to get around Anna Wilson there as well. You know that Wilson's got himself a bit of a damage race car, slightly off the pace, but still able to circulate with in-regulation speed. But John Ailes in now is going to be closing him down into turn number 3. And it just looks as though Wilson hasn't got the straight line speed coming out of turn number 3 down into turn number 1.
Yeah, and, that's unfortunate because you've got those cars, you've got 2 different things going on. The cars that go into the turns well, and cars that just rocket down the straightaway. So it's kind of interesting to see the different types of setups we have in there. He definitely does not have the speed in the corners. And
to give you guys a bit of an insight into that, the cars that are set up for handling, they are very good through turn 3. And very good in turn 3 to keep a bit of momentum on the front straightaway. And then again, they can keep a bit of that into turn number 1, taking a slightly shallower line, slightly less distance to travel around the racetrack. The drivers here are running less downforce, struggling in turn 3, but get a huge top speed down turn number, down the front straightaway into turn 1. And then you see how they can always try and make the pass down into turn number 2. So not only have you got strategy as an option, tyres as an option, you've also got yourself 2 very distinct differences in setup here. And it always seems that the middle ground just doesn't work. You've got to be good at one part, you can't just be okay everywhere.
Okay, as we go on, Randy Croswell on T. Yep, he's making a pass. It looks like he's trying to get back into the pack. He's going to make his way up there 1 car at a time. He's already proven he's got the machine to do some laps here, so we're going to see what happens with that. Ryan Norton as well, moving his way up to P4 already behind Dave Jiggs. So, and he's one of those cars that we talked about, slightly loose in turn 3, but once he straightens it out and hits it straight away, it's like a rocket ship. So, that's where he's trying to make all his moves, is on those straights.
You see that Brad Sumford just allowing Norton to go past him there. Sumford is currently still 2 laps down in the 09 machine. Had himself a great introduction into the series, but he's having a difficult day here today, 2 laps down. And I think he's just trying to work out a strategy later on, try and get some laps back. His drivers have come down pit road to make sure they stay on strategy.
Well, yeah, it's only lap 65, so you've got just over 100 laps to go, and a couple of cautions, a few more wrecks. Next thing you know, Mr. 2 laps down is on the lead lap, or only 1 lap down and in 3rd place. So it's still anybody's race this early.
So we are currently working on lap number 66 here. There's the ISOWC here at Pocono, the Pocono 400. Jonathan Goke is your race leader. Matthew Lamberton is in 2nd. Dave Jinks is in 3rd. Ryan Norton in 4th. Dennis Garrison 5th. A little bit further back to the field, we've got ourselves still 8 cars in lead lap, of which the final one of those is Julian Pham, ever consistent and steady in the 78th machine. And then Paul Jenkins, Joe Bryant, Eric Hunter, John Ailes, and Julian Youngman are all scored as 1 lap down with Brad Sumford and Brad Sumford 2 laps down, John Portman 5 laps down. And Lamberton is dropped back about to about 4 tenths now behind Goke. And I think this is just Lamberton trying to preserve his tyres a bit, knowing how tight he's been getting behind the 08 machine, and perhaps just wanting to save a bit of fuel, a bit of tyres.
Absolutely. I think he did his race at the beginning of this stint. He's going to fall back and save some fuel, save some tires, like we were talking about. He's under no threat from anybody, so right now it's just time to relax, kind of get the kinks out and wait, because there's plenty of race going on here. He has no reason to try to run up front, nothing, because we're not done with the pit stops, and we're definitely probably not done with the cautions.
Last time by, Jonathan Goke did a 41.132 Jonathan Goat found himself a great race here today, and helped him sure in part by the fact that he hasn't been around David Ward in this race. Ward unfortunately had a difficult race. Goke though, in that 08 car, it's just been thereabouts since he dropped the first green flag.
Yeah, I think David Ward and Jonathan Goke, I think that battle will continue, and in the locker room, I think there's going to definitely be some good-hearted ribbing about that on whose fault it is that they're usually reckon, since how David Ward is the one that's out on this race. In the meantime, you see Ryan Norton closing the gap on Dave Jinks at an amazing pace. I give it maybe 2 laps before Ryan Norton is going to find himself in P3.
And just to clarify, it's not a locker room, this is motorsport, it's called a motorhome.
Pardon me, I misspoke there. Back to the motorhome. Back to the trailer park.
Last time by Ryan Norton. I'm not going to do a trailer park to Ryan Norton, Greg. Last time by Ryan Norton, a 41.238. Dave Jinks ahead of him, a 41.280. So about half a second quicker is Ryan Norton at the moment. But it does look as though Jinks is now struggling through turn number 3 at the moment. In fact, Norton got himself a huge run through turn number 1 and 2. That this time by, and Dave thinks they're taking a higher apex. In fact, this is going to allow Norton to try and get the draft down the front straightaway. This is the battle for the 3rd position on track. Norton looking down to the inside, and indeed he's going to try and complete the pass. In fact, he does it before they even get down to turn number 1.
Yeah, it looks like Dave Jinks pretty much looks like he lifted a little bit to give Ryan Norton a good clean pass, because he didn't want any chance that he could get into and win this race. So a little bit of defensive driving there by Dave Jinks.
Matthew Lamberton's closed that gap down to less than 4 tenths in the second once again, just keeping that gap between himself and Goat consistent. They come past the start-finish line once again. Jonathan Goat's gap is now down to less than 3 tenths per second. So Lamberton is back on the charge. Norton is now into the 3rd position. Again, Lamberton and Goat, if they can work together, they can keep ahead of that number 84 Make-A-Wish Foundation machine. If I was these 2 drivers, you do not want to have Norton up behind you at a track like Pocono, who he really does like.
Yeah, and as you can see, he's going to try to close that gap as much as he can. And the same thing is going on right now with Randy Crosnell. He managed to clear all the traffic, so he's looking for Dave Jinks just like Ryan Norton was. And we saw Randy Crosnell running some extremely fast laps in this race. If he can do so now, he's going to be the next one that's up in the hunt looking for Dave Jinks, and he's going to want to capture that 4th position. Hopefully, going into the next caution, you're going to see a Goke, Lamberton, Norton, Crosnell, Garis, what we saw towards the front of the race. So we're going to see how that plays out here.
And retirements add John Porzak onto that list. And just a little bit of trivia, Lamberton is the only one of these drivers in the top 3 who hasn't led a lap here today. And do you think that's playing in the mind of Lamberton as we're approaching half distance now? Does he want to start leading some laps?
I think the old Matthew Lamberton wanted to lead some laps right out of the gate, but the kind of mature racing I'm seeing out of Matthew Lamberton today, I don't think he really cares. He knows how much race is going on. He's right there with Jonathan Goke, and depending on whether they go green or not, I think he knows that he can put a charge on Jonathan Goke when it's time. So I don't really think he cares about that.
In fact, though, he does now look to the inside as they come down. Oh, it's going to be close.
Oh my God! I guess I spoke too soon.
The curse is it a curse of the commentator? Oh, is he going to lead the lap? It's going to be very close to the line.
Good grief.
As they come down into 1, Lamberton is going to have to hold that inside line. That's going to allow Goke to retake position.
Yeah, he had to lift quite a bit there. He started to push pretty bad on that bottom line. So as I spoke about Matthew not wanting to lead a lap, I guess I was totally wrong about that.
So, Goke is still racing. Lamberton looking around racing in 2nd position. They both need to be careful though, because Ryan Norton was at the line last time by 3 seconds behind these two drivers. As they come past the line once again, they are, well, 10th and a half apart from each other, but Norton is actually gained by 100th of a second.
Yeah,
Huge gain there for
100.
Ryan Norton.
Yeah. He's on the charge. He's going to keep going. He's got plenty of race left. He knows it. He's just going to keep running his lines, and I think you're going to see Matthew Lambertson, Ryan Norton's going to get awful large in the rearview mirror.
Lambertson again, still looking racy there. In fact, he's trying to look down to the inside, dummies it into turn number 3. And that, I think, just cost him a bit of momentum there, because what it did, as Jonathan Goat getting sideways down through turn number 3. In fact, it might have worked what he was trying to do a little bit, because now Goat is slow to come down the straightaway. This is going to allow Lambertson to make a charge down into turn number 1. Not quite close enough there. But Lambertson, if he can get a good drive off of here, can try and make the run down into turn number 2. And Lambertson is now looking racy. And that was some interesting tactics there, because what he didn't go for the overtake, just dummied, and it put Goat off in that 0-8 machine and allowed Lambertson to really, in the net world, gain a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think he was going to try. He's going to try. Oh, looks like he's going to try to take him again in turn 3.
2 wide from 3. Lambertson not right to that inside line.
No, he's having to. His car is pushing way too much to make a pass on the inside line repair.
Yeah, we saw that in turn number 1 a couple of laps ago, as Norton now gaining another 10 from these two drivers. Lambertson really needs to try and get the job done on the straightaway, I think, or coming out of turn number 1 into turn 2, complete the pass and get back into line into turn 3, because he doesn't like the inside line on this racetrack.
Yeah, his car is definitely not prepared for another inside line there, especially for speeds. But every single time those two do an exchange like that, one of the corners of the straights, look out, here comes Ryan Norton. So he's continuing to gain time. Randy Crosland's gaining time. Dave Jinks kind of pulling along with Ryan Norton, using his speed to kind of keep himself ahead of Randy Crosland. So I think we're going to see in the next 10 to 15 laps some more interesting racing up front.
A little bit further back through the field, Ryan Pocono was fighting with Dennis Garris in about some 5th position earlier on. Garris is now fallen back to about a second and a half behind Randy Pocono in that battle for the 5th position. And we haven't talked much about Garris driving that number 16 Pocono racing car. After 3 drivers of that team who entered this race, that 16 machine is having the best showing out of all of them, as Sanford and Porzak, both of whom we thought would have some very, very good form here, are struggling.
Yeah, traditionally, John Porzak and Brad Sanford are really good at Pocono. They've put down some very good laps and very strong showing in regular season races for iRacing. So we expected to see them do a little better than we saw. So it is probably good for them. Dennis Garris, he's probably got about 10 spotters in his ear right now, helping him try to get up to the front of this pack.
So as they come across the line, we are going to be halfway through the International Simulated Open Wheel Championship at Pocono. Jonathan Goat is your race leader. Matthew Lambertson is in second, with Ryan Norton in third. Dave Jinks in fourth, and Randy Pocono rounding out your top 5. Ryan Norton dropping back now again. He's now up to 3.2 seconds behind Jonathan Goat, who in turn has built up that gap to half a second.
So what exactly was it that those initials mean in Swedish again? What was...
It's Finnish, and to translate it in Finnish, we'll get our translation up in a minute, because I haven't got it down here, but it means something involving a huge toilet, is all I can say.
Interesting. So you decided to name your race series after a huge toilet? And what exactly was the thought process behind that, sir?
It was symbolising the level of your commentary.
Oh, okay, it's on.
Matthew Lambertson now dropped back to almost a second behind Goat. Really did use up his tyres there in those last couple of laps. Trying to gain a bit of momentum. His last lap was a 41.293. Goat, however, he's just turned up the wick. His last lap was a 40.955. So Goat charging in the middle part of the stint now.
You think it has something to do? Maybe he's a little low lighter on fuel Remember, he stayed out on the racetrack, so I believe some of these cars that we have out here, once they get to a certain level in the fuel tank, just absolutely turn it up another notch. So he may have hit that particular fuel level that's allowing him to run faster laps. Same thing we saw with Randy Crossness earlier on in the race.
And I have to say as well, Goat actually has the fastest lap of the race with a 40.902. So Lambertson really isn't really struggling, shall we say. Just looks as though Goat has just really cranked up the wick and some clean air. And we always know here at Pocono, clean air is faster than anything else. And he's just been able to, save those tyres in those early part of the stint. And now he can really flat-foot it all the way around the racetrack. In fact, we'll go on board of him through turn number 2 and 3 and have a little bit of a look at his engine note, see whether or not he lifts into turn number 3. So I don't think he is anymore.
No, I think his car's pretty much settled down. If he runs the right line, I think he can flat-foot it throughout this whole track. You got several drivers in there able to do that, except for when they're in a huge draft. Then they have to modulate that throttle a little bit to keep the car from pushing.
In fact, we'll go on board with Jonathan Goat in the 08 machine next lap, but I'm just having a look at his engine though. He really is taking this racetrack flat out all the way around now. Through turn number 1, that pretty much is flat for most portion of this race. Only through behind another car, and you really are pushing a little bit. Should you have to take that turn with a bit of a lift, turn 2, if you're not taking it flat out, you're seriously wrong with your race car. Nice line there by Goat in the 08 machine. And as they come down into turn number 3, we'll keep an eye out. Flat.
Yeah,
that's
that's
a bit of a lift actually on exit. So that's a bit confident.
Yeah, it looks like he might have he was pushing a little bit to the wall to give a little lift to correct that. Not enough to lose any speed.
So yeah, it looks as though that 08 car really is handling well. In fact, that last time by, another 40.903 for him. So he really is on the charge at the moment here at Pocono. And Matthew Lambertson behind him still keeping in touch, but he's kind of lost. What he's doing is he's kind of getting into that draft zone and then falling back out of it. So it looks like he's really struggling on the handling through turn 3, thinking he can flat foot it, but he gets into that draft zone, he just can't.
Yeah, it's interesting enough that at this point in the race, everybody's settled way into just run lap modes. There's huge gaps in between each one of the drivers. There's really nobody pushing any big racing going on. We've kind of hit that moment in the race where everybody just says, hey, I need to kick off another 50, 60 laps. And they're either waiting for a caution or a green flag pit stop to hopefully close up that field.
And our last caution came, well, the green flag flew last time about 27, 28 laps ago now. So these drivers are getting into that phase where, you will be thinking about green flag pit stops. You don't want to pit until you absolutely have to, because even like you do, in fact, no, I take that back, because you don't lose a lap here, so you can come into pit road early, as long as you're good on cold tyres and don't go a lap down. It might even be an advantage to pit slightly early here. Some of these drivers might try and consider that to try and get themselves up a couple of track positions, because even though, yes, you will be going faster with low fuel, if you can just manage your tyres and get out and not lose a lap, and then a caution comes out, all of a sudden you're on the hot seat.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see, because I believe Jonathan Goke and Matthew Lambertson are going to have to pit before Ryan Norton and company. So we're going to see if that's going to allow them to close the gap, and if they come back out of that pit stall, finding themselves, and how that's going to play out with all the green flag pit stops.
You're just having a look there at Dave Jinks, who's currently sat in the 4th position. He's got himself a 1.3 second gap over Randy Crosno, who's sat in the 5th position. Crosno is, again, just falling into that rhythm. His last lap was a 40.970. Dave Jinks a 41.094. So he is catching Jinks a little bit, is Crosno. And getting some turn, is losing a bit of ground to Ryan Norton ahead of him. His last time by a 40.878 for Ryan Norton. But still, Jonathan Goat now at 40.807. Goat is charging.
Yeah, his car obviously on lower fuel is just, again, being just a total bullet. So he's going to probably try to make that gap as big as he possibly can before he has to slide down in the pit lane and hopefully get himself a good pit stop and get back out on the track.
And this is one of the few tracks that we go on that being out front is the advantageous place to be. Because we talked about all race long, that draft really just hurt your momentum in turn number 3. So just having a look on board with Randy Cosmo, who's currently sat in at that number 4 LRX racing machine momentarily. He's caught Dave Dinks by about 3/10 of a second over those last couple of laps. He thinks he's had himself a horrible lap that last time by. Julian Pham is coming down pit road in the number 78 machine.
Julian Pham is pretty well.
I see that Julian Pham will keep an eye out. Very difficult pit entry here. Brake. Oh, and he spins it in pit road there, does Julian Pham. He's going to have to reverse that out. He won't cause a caution, but hitting on the green here is so difficult. He got the speed down. It just looked as though he locked the tyres up, as you do so often in Michigan. As you hit that 55 mile an hour, the tyres just like to lock up a little bit, and Pham there lost himself about 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's actually when your car runs out of fuel, when you're running on low fuel, you have less than 2 gallons. The car doesn't want to slow down, it doesn't want to stop. The tires tend to lock up because of the lack of the weight of the car. So it's really important to practice those green flag pit stops with low fuel, or otherwise you see results like you see there.
Cosmo looking to the outside there of Dave Dinks coming down into turn number 1. Cosmo will have what some would call the opportune line coming into the corner. And it looks as though Cosmo just breezing past Jinx there and gets himself up into the 4th position. Meanwhile, Jonathan Goat out front is still charging his last lap a 40.874 in comparison to Matthew Lamberton's 40.895. For a second here, but Goat, that Goat down into pit road this time by Don't spin, and he's so close, gets himself just onto the limiter.
Lamberton comes in right behind him.
So you're right, these two drivers were first to come in here on this sequence of green flag pit stops here at Pocono. This pit exit is the bit where you really need to be careful, because there is no blend line. You come back onto the racetrack and there's cars doing 200 miles an hour faster than you and everyone else. As Jonathan Hoke there in the 08 machine looks as though he should be the first one to get out. In fact, Lamberton, yeah, it looks as though they both come out at the same time. Lamberton almost spinning it there with the number 19 machine. They'll both come out onto the racetrack back where they were. And having a look, Dave Jinks is also down in pit road, so. And you see that Goat just being swarmed over there by John Ailes. And that is the scary part. If you've got a car doing 50, 60 miles an hour through the apex of the corner faster than you, but Goat looks like he got himself back into the catbird seat there. And in fact, he only really comes out in 4th position.
Yeah, that was a really good sequence of pit stops by Jonathan Goat and Matthew Lamberson. Jonathan Goat definitely had the hammer down first, and Matthew Lamberson following considerably behind. But Jonathan Goat back up on the wheel and charging, so that was a great pit stop by the Sugar Plum Ferry car.
So Ryan Norton is the race leader at number 84, Make-A-Wish Foundation machine, with Randy Crosno in 2nd, Dennis Darius in 3rd, Alan Wilson so takes over the 4th position, Jonathan Goat in 5th, Matthew Lamberton in 6th. But the key thing is for these two drivers, they are still on the lead lap. So if the caution was to fly now, they are in the catbird seat. If you and Norton, would you consider coming down to pit road now? Just to cover them off?
That's a possibility. I really think Ryan's going to stay out. He's probably got 3 to 4 more laps to go. He's going to try to make up as much time as he can. I think he's really got that car going because he's light on fuel. I think he's going to give us 2 or 3 more laps before he comes down to try to give himself all the advantage he can possibly get.
So currently working at the number 97 of 160 here at the Pocono 400. Jonathan Goat is sat in the 5th position. He's got himself up now a 2.5 second gap to Matthew Lamberton in 6th. These two drivers were 1st and 2nd as the sequence of pit stops started. So bear them in mind. Yes, they are 33 seconds behind the race lead, but they've got their pit stop out and done, out of the way. And even more importantly, they can make it to the end with one more pit stop.
And I think that's going to be the key is that last pit stop. And as you can see, Ryan Norton and Randy Cross, they're going to try to stretch that out as far as they can. They're going to take the fuel now. Actually, they're probably going to try to take enough to try to get to the end without having a pit stop, or just having to go in, take a splash of fuel, forget the tires, and get back out there on the track.
Well, being the ultimate strategist, as you know I am,
absolutely.
I would personally not do either of those. I would, if I was on the rain, knowing the fact that we'd have, 55 laps as we're coming to the season for pit stops, knowing that you probably will have to stop again, I would probably consider taking, say, 14 gallons twice. You're only going to need about 29, 30 gallons to complete this race, and what's the point in taking a fuel-weighted gas when you can just be faster overall for the entire thing? Twice.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty good strategy. Let's see if they decide to do that. I can actually see Ryan thinking of something like that. Of course, he's not up in the booth. He's actually down on the track, so he's having to figure this out on his own. But that probably is a viable strategy. It just depends. You can take more gas now and less later, or do you divide it up into two? Either way, good, advantages, pros and cons. So we'll see what
Ryan
he
Norton
actually does. Ryan Norton pitting right now. There we go.
Ryan Norton into the pit lane. I believe Joe Branch is going to be coming down pit road this time by as well.
Randy
The
Cross as
84
well.
machine into pit road. Pocono is down on pit road in the number 4 machine. So the green flag pit stops continue here at Pocono. And just to let everyone know, the strategy is the copyright of the ISOWC and may not be used without any written blah-de-blah-de-blah. I would like to thank you for your ongoing support. Ryan Norton there into pit load. You see the tyres down. It is a long stop there for Ryan. We'll get a look at his pit time in just a couple of moments.
Randy Krauss is still in there. Something's up with Randy.
And I think Ryan might have short-filled himself and Cosmo long-filled himself. Goat does get back out ahead of Cosmo. More importantly, you've got yourself Jonathan Goat behind Ryan Norton. But
yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's not going to last. Ryan Norton's trying to get speed. Jonathan Goat is definitely closing the gap. So I think we're going to have some more up-front racing any moment now.
Yeah, let's not forget, Goat probably has 3 gallons left of fuel in the tank. So yes, Goat is going to have to come early again next time by to have another round of green flag pit stop. But Goat will probably be about half taken out faster than Ryan Norton at this stage of the race. Bring that on perspective.
Decided to take less fuel, as you stated, which it looked like, because Randy Krauss definitely was in the pit box longer than Ryan Norton. And he may have, like you said, short fuel, but he's planning on having another short fuel pit stop.
Pit stop the last time by. Ryan Norton a 9.4 second pit stop. Jonathan Goat a 10.8 seconds. I think Norton did indeed cover off Jonathan Goat there. Randy Cosmo had an 11.7 second, so Cosmo filled all the way up to the top. Norton took about 17, 18 gallons. Of course, John pulled it all the way pretty much up to the top, as did Lambertson. So Cosmo just lost himself about a second in pit road overall there. But interestingly, Ryan Norton didn't take a fuel tank of fuel as I predicted. And just figuring out the maths in my head, I think he took about 17 gallons of fuel in total.
Well, and as you can see, Ryan Norton definitely taking advantage of that lower weight on the fuel. He is definitely out front charging. He's like a rocket right now. So he's going to try to pull away from Jonathan Goat as best he can as Jonathan gets through this lap traffic right here. So it's anybody's game, but I guess the strategy of taking less fuel, we'll see if it plays out in the end, or whether Jonathan and Randy Crosslands actually gets the advantage later in the race. Of course, we've never known Ryan not to have a good pit strategy, so we'll see if it plays out.
Dave James coming down into pit road there in the number 76 West USA car. Hitting is very conservative in the pit entry. We'll compare his pit in that. In fact, no, I think he got himself a penalty. Yeah, Dave Jinks indeed did get himself a penalty. Speeding on pit road, which is going to cost him dramatically there. He's going to have to come in, make a 16 seconds stop and go penalty, get back out. He's going to overall lose himself a lap for being literally 4 or 5 miles an hour over Yeah, over pit lane speed limit.
And that's unfortunate for Dave Jinks. As we saw, he's run a very good, very patient race, not too aggressive, and keeping himself up there in the top 5. And that's a really good move. So he's right on par with Joe Branch. And so that's, we'll see what happens as far as the top 10.
And more importantly for Dave Jinks, that's going to hurt him in the championship standings, because in the top 5 he would have lost himself, 10, 15 points maybe. Really now he's on the back foot. He slipped behind Julian Pham, so he's all the way back into 10th position on my screen, and he's pretty much in the sequence of going 10 miles an hour and no more faster in pit lane. Just cost himself, I don't know, yeah, he's just cost himself about 4 positions right out of the race.
Yeah, again, that's a great disappointment. Of course, anything can happen in Pocono, and we've seen it before where we've gone to the last 5-6 laps, and 2 or 3 people up front, the leaders just end up taking each other out and bouncing all over the place, and you find somebody that's in 6th or 7th position now finds him in the top 5. So he's probably got his fingers crossed that something like that's going to happen today.
So to run through your top 5 as the sequence of green flag pit stops concludes, we are currently working on lap number 106 of 160 here at Pocono, the ISOWC Pocono 400 on GlacierTV. Ryan Norton is your race leader, Duncan Goke in 2nd, Matthew Lamberton in 3rd, and Dennis Garris in 5th. However, the gaps, Goke is 1.7 seconds behind Ryan Norton, Matthew Lamberton is a further 2.5 seconds behind, Pocono a further 2.5 seconds behind Lamberton, and Dennis Garris is 6 seconds behind Ryan Pocono in the battle for the 4th position.
Yeah, so once again, you're seeing a very spread out field. Lap traffic is going to be coming into play here for the leaders, and as they go around, and maybe that'll help them catch up. But definitely the side-by-side racing that we saw earlier on is not in play at the moment, but we'll see what happens towards as the race winds down to the last 10 laps or so. And Will, while we're out here in this race, I just wanted to mention congratulations to you for last week. Everybody should notice that we did not broadcast last week. Will was out accepting his award for the longest run-on sentence in the history of history. So congratulations to you, Will, for getting that prestigious award there. Guinness Book of World Records. Hopefully you had a good ceremony.
And caution is out here at Pocono for the 5th time here today as we're working lap number 108, and I think it is Randy Crosno, Matthew Lamberton there. Don't know what happened. Looks like Lamberton spinning, and then just gets hugely T-boned there by Randy Crosno. Game over for both of these triumphs by the look of it. Lamberton having a great showing in the 5th spot. Pocono, both of them. Yeah.
That was horrible. Lamberton looks like he had it saved. He was loose, kind of letting off the throttle, kind of got it and got a little loose again towards the lower of the track. And Randy Crosno just vicious hit. He had nowhere to go. If he just slammed on his brakes or tried to go low or high, he'd just spun anyway. So, accident.
And that is going to put both those drivers in serious championship damage, shall we say. But Jonathan Goke gets himself a bit of a free pass there, because he is back into contention, and we've got ourselves 51 laps left to go here. And these drivers are all going to have to take at least one more pit stop. Would you come to pit road? I mean, we're only 5-6 laps into the cycle of green flag running, but it's again,
you could make
strategy call. I don't think you can, but it's going to be close. Maybe one more caution and put top off, you can make it.
Well, that's the thing, is are they planning on another caution? I'm actually going to bet there that he's going to stay out and stick with his plan, because that just gets him a couple more laps before he has to quit the next time. But this kind of works into everybody's favor, because now we've got a competition. Kind of like a competition caution, and Jonathan Goke is going to be right up under the rear wing of Ryan Norton and Dennis Garis coming up. And Alan Wilson, who was in one of the very first accidents today, is now in contention. And that also plays good for Dave Jinks, who's managed to get 2 laps down, but that moves him up in the pack.
Yeah, but let's see, we'll have a look here. Will Norton try and move? And they indeed both come in there. The Goat comes in. Jenkins stays out, so he should get a lap back. So Norton comes in. John Ailes stays out. Jonathan Goat comes in. Sam Onan soon came in, and Dennis Garris comes in as well, actually. So, interesting strategy ploy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Will? Do you think they're hoping for another caution? Maybe they can go all the way? Ryan Norton, short fuel again. Comes out in front of Jonathan Goak. So I have a funny feeling he took less fuel once again.
Yeah, and I think at this point in time, you've got yourself top up to where you want to be, top up to the brim, but there's a huge difference between having, say, 18 gallons or 22 gallons in this car, because you've got to remember, as the fuel burns off, this car gets a lot looser. You don't want it to be at the end of the run where you're fighting snap oversteer all the way around the racetrack. So if you set your car up to work perfectly at, say, 17, 18 gallons, and you've got 22 in the tank, the car just bottoms out. Turn 3 is so miserable in traffic. So I think, again, thinking big picture there for Ryan Norton. However, your new race leader will be Alan Wilson from Club England in the number 59 machine.
And that kind of plays out. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens, because you know that once you get Ryan Norton and Jonathan Goak together, nose to nose, there's going to be a race going on, and it's far enough down, 110 laps down, where I don't know how much longer Jonathan or Ryan Norton are going to want to ride. I think they're going to want to race.
Yeah, I completely agree. And let's not forget, Norton has unfinished business of this track.
Yes, he certainly does. He had a great soft race where he was coming around and he managed to say hi to the wall in turn 3 and ended his race. So he definitely wants to take a win right here.
Well, let's not forget when that happened, shall we say. Shall we just take the mickey out of Norton for a minute?
We can certainly do that.
Woohoo! But nice and people in that. I have to say, Joe Branch, Eric Hunter are going to get back onto the lead laps. We'll have 6 cars on the lead lap. We'll have Julien Pham 1 lap down. That spin certainly cost Pham there, because he's now pinned 1 lap down.
Yeah, and I mean, look at, we talked about this earlier, how things can roll out in the race. We've got Joe Number Branch moving up to the 5th position, now on the lead lap, giving him an opportunity to stay in the race with and go nose to nose with Dennis Garis. So will he stay up in that lead pack? Possibly. So his patience and perseverance is definitely going to do a lot for him today. I wonder if he can make some more places up, or he's happy with top 5.
Jonathan Goak, 5-second interview. You sat in 3rd position. You're behind Ryan. You got a chance to win?
I think so. Just had a little trouble with lap traffic after the pit stop, just not being really considerate, so just lost him, but luckily got a caution, and now we're caught back up. Should be a good finish. Looking for one quick pit stop with about 10 to go.
Good luck. Ryan Norton, 5-second interview. You're currently sat in the 2nd position. You've got a bit of traffic ahead of you. How do you think you're going to do?
It'll be a little interesting. Alan's got a little bit slower car, but I can't exactly afford to take my time with Jonathan right behind me. He looks pretty aggressive today, so I know he wants to win, get some points, and try to take P1 in the championship, so it's going to be tough.
Good luck. And that was supposed to be 5 seconds. These drivers don't always take too long. Meanwhile, Alan Wilson will bring the field back up to green flag racing here at Pocono with 111 laps scored complete when the green flag flies. We're going to be having a look there from the rear cam of Alan Wilson. Pace car pulling down pit road once again, and for the 6th time here together, the green flag is back in there. We see that Goat is having been down the inside, and he's going to make the move down into turn 1.
He's going to take advantage of that bad restart by Ryan Norton. Going to try to get right underneath him in turn 1. So You look at stick.
What? And
Yes,
he's
he
going to
is.
get a great run there out of turn number 1. I mean, this is going to be crazy, crazy, crazy time. You see there, Norton on the outside, in fact, trying to push Alan Wilson. Almost making it 3 wide. Let's go looking out to the inside now. He will take the race lead as they come through turn number 2. Ryan Norton now looking down to the inside. Alan Wilson into turn number 3. And Norton is looking as though he should just be sweep back up the racetrack there. Alan Wilson will slot back into the 3rd position. In fact, no, he won't, because Dennis Garris now will take that away from him coming down the front straightaway. And your race leader at a point of green flag flying is all the way back into the 4th position.
Yeah, what a great restart. What a lot of action here. It looks like Dennis Garris, he's definitely one to look out for today. He's not letting anything by him. He's managed to stay up with the rest of these cars. And good driving by him, taking advantage of that hole that Jonathan Goke and Ryan Norton punched through the traffic.
MB2, if you're watching, I love you too. Meanwhile, Jonathan Goke, he is still your race leader. The gap between himself and Ryan Norton was 4 tenths of a second. It is now down to less than 2 tenths of a second as they come past the start finish line. And once again, Dennis Garris has just patiently sat there in the 3rd position. I'm not sure whether or not he's got the overall speed to close down these drivers. I mean, these slow plate guys have been really fast here.
Look at the middle of the pack. It's great dicing and slicing and dicing. 2 and 3 wide through there. Joe Branch and Randy Crossnell, they're all running through there. That was a really hairy turn.
Yeah, you've also got yourself, Julian Fallon, who sat in the 7th position, right, just being overtaken there by Brad Sanford, who has somehow got himself up into the 7th position from absolutely nowhere. Back 1 lap down. Jason Newman there, just losing himself a position there to Joe Branch on the racetrack, although, of course, Branch is 1 lap ahead of him. Branch has really lost out here through... really lost out. See there, Ryan Norton down back to the inside there. Oh, Jonathan Goke again! Goke getting a great drive on the outside line there. He will have the momentum coming out of turn number 1. Down the straightaway into turn 2. Norton having to tuck back in to try and make the move down to turn number 2 again. Oh, so close, guys. Watch out! Oh, my God! There's Norton there. Almost getting spun around and loose racing. It looks like it is the last lap already. And Norton just couldn't further, but that's a brushing up the race just slightly. But Goke keeps the race lead. And let's not forget, start coming down to who loses the most laps as well for the bonus points.
Yeah, and that was something else there. He almost lost the white letters off his tires right there, how close that was. There was nothing there. So you definitely got some racing going on, as we predicted. And I think it'll settle down here for a couple laps and be right back on it again.
So, Norton and Goke charging, really charging at the moment here. They've opened themselves up a 1.2 second gap over Dennis Garris in the 3rd position. Alan Wilson holding on there for the 4th spot, only 6 tenths of a second behind Garris in the number 16 machine. Joe Branch, who said he really struggled through that lap traffic, is in 5th. Eric Hunter is in 6th. And the first car lap down, out of nowhere, Brad Sanford, and also Randy Crossnell, the number 4 car, is in 8th.
Yeah, and that's after that horrific crash. Randy Crossnell's coming up to be 8th position, even though he scored a lap down with Brad Sanford. That's still good racing by Randy Crossnell.
And I think Goke's now got himself a bit of that drive that we saw him earlier. Really good out front. Norton seems to be struggling. Maybe he made some tweaks that set up earlier, thinking he'd be able to get out ahead, get past Wilson quickly and drive away into the sunset. I think now he's stuck behind. Now he's stuck behind Jonathan Goke. I think that he's struggling a bit. Maybe it's like he took more downforce off, did some tyre pressure changes, but he's falling back and a half a second behind. I'd like to say hello also to Marcin. We all love you. Thank you very much for watching.
Will, let me ask you this. If you were Dennis Garris and you're sitting in 3rd place, it's lap 118 of a 160 lap race. You're behind Ryan Norton, Jonathan Goke. Are you just content with the 3rd place? Make sure you don't lose the draft. Just keep up there, keep out of harm's way. Or are you going to actually try to make a change?
I'll strategize. Simple as
And
that.
what would that strategy be, sir?
Just keep within touching distance. Maybe roll the dice on strategy a bit. Try and save a couple of laps of fuel now. see if you can get a pit stop so you can take a gallon less. If you're coming together, you might just get the drive out front, or you can stay out, try and roll the dice, see if there's enough caution. But I think that Gareth has got himself a good enough car that you've got, he can get back up through the field if he needs to. So I think he could try and roll the dice. And with this small number of cars on the lead lap. Sorry, we've got
Branch, the 27 car, just trying to put a move on Alan Wilson up there. So it looks like we've got some racing going on with impact.
Yeah. Joe Branch, he's fallen up to 4.3 seconds out behind the race leader, but looking down to the inside there of Alan Wilson in the number 59 machine. Two wires have come down this way. I tell you what, we have seen so many great cars down this turn too. It's not the corner that you expect to have close racing on, but it really has been a great part of the opportunity. That outside line really does work there. Alan Wilson started to just drop back behind Joe Branch, but we have seen some drivers really hold on that outside line in turn two.
Well, and that's great respectful racing too. I mean, we saw that Joe Branch and Randy Fast was looking to charge, and Alan Wilson just went ahead and said, "Hey, you guys go ahead and take the position. I'm just going to ride." So that was very good on Alan Wilson's part.
Just to give you an update on the bonus point situation, we got you only need to give us the driver who's good for the most lap so far, but fastest lap is currently Ryan Norton in 40.802. Jonathan Goke only 500 thousandths in a second behind. And I remember at one point when I missed out on fastest lap by 1,000th of a second, and I was absolutely peaked. Especially the fact you get 2 bonus points, which in the overall point battle is, a big thing. Goke, however, as Norton passes him, Goke did have the too wide, don't hold that
Too
inside
wide,
line,
too
baby,
wide.
hold it,
Looks like Jonathan Goke had to lift just a little bit on that corner, giving Ryan Norton the momentum.
It was 56 laps to go, 43 laps to Norton. Now Norton's back in front. It's going to be close between these two drivers, because I do not envisage this race carrying on without another lead change. And look at Goke. Look at Goke, taking an inside line, breaking the draft there, deliberately, through turn number 3. He was all the way down to the inside. He had no one behind him, and he's just trying to save his tyres.
Uh-oh.
Caution out, caution.
Yep, Dave Jinks is mentioning something, so I should probably look at Dave's car.
And Dave Jinks in the number 76 machine. They goes from bad to worse for him. On the outside line. Oh, no, he just hit Houston Lennon in there. In the number 82 machine, coming through the corner, didn't realise they had much more of a speed advantage. Just a little love tap to the 82 car, spinning him around, and then Jinx just grazing the wall there. Just grazing it, but the caution is out, and this is where Gareth can play the strategy game.
Yeah, you've got Dave Jinks. Just for some reason, Jinx really let off the gas a little more than he anticipated, and Dave Jinks just got in the back and kind of gave him a pit maneuver, and around Juicy Neiman goes, and that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Very good exchange, though. Dave Jinks apologizing to Juicy Neiman, accepting the apology, which is good sportsmanship on the part of both these drivers.
And you see all that barbecue down the pit road. That was Juicy Neiman, and you can order your burgers and hot dogs from him later on. And strategy is really going to be key. Now, let's not forget, Norton had less fuel the pit stop. We believe he took about a gallon and a half less than Jonathan Goke. Now, these drivers know that if they can do this pit stop, they can make it to the end. Just. In fact, literally, it is just. So, they top it all the way up to 22 gallons now. They can make it to the end. If they do that, Jonathan Goke can just have an advantage.
That's an interesting strategy. Will they top it all the way off?
They're going to have to. They're going to have to. I mean, the position we are now, we've got ourselves, 36 laps to go next time by? Sorry, we've got ourselves 36 laps to go as we cross the line. That is pretty much a full tank of fuel. These drivers are going to have to top it all the way off, because if they don't, and there's no more caution, they're going to be running out. You've got that stage of race now where strategy almost turns itself on its head, where you cannot afford to take less fuel. And this will be interesting for drivers who set the car up to run, say, 17 gallons. And I'm sure both of these drivers are going to come down. In fact, Dennis Garris does. We'll have a look at Goke and Norton. They both come in. And see, everyone coming in. Brad Sanford stays out. All of a sudden, he's back onto the lead lap. He's going to take that risk. There's one more caution. So if he can do that, then there's one more caution. He can keep himself on the lead lap and charge at the end. So, Randy Crossman does the same thing. He'll get himself back onto the lead lap, as does Paul Jenkins. So all of a sudden, we're going to have ourselves a number more drivers on the lead lap. Julian Farr and John Ailes will all get back onto the lead lap as well.
And that's interesting, especially when we're talking about possibly the last restart. We know what's going on up front, but all of a sudden, the P3 through P7 battle lights up like a firecracker and fighting for position. So I think we should probably keep our eye on that middle part of the pack here for at least the first 3 or 4 laps right off the beginning of the start.
You say P3 through P7, I say P3 through P11. Julian Farr in the number 78 machine, the last car who's currently scored 1 lap down. It's really interesting this race. You know, at one point we had only 6 cars in the lead lap. All of a sudden, we're looking to have ourselves 11 cars in the lead lap as we're currently working lap number 125. So it's mental with what's happening with these drivers. People switch and turn all the time. I'm not sure actually whether Farm is actually going to get back in the lead. We'll have a look as we go past the stripe this time by. My scoring saying is that he should still be scored 1 lap down. We'll get it cleared up as we come past the stripe, but Brad Sanford definitely will get back into the lead lap, as will Randy Cosner, and I believe at least Paul Jenkins will as well.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting on this restart to see how they go, and I think the drivers up front could be looking at, because of the situation, so many drivers back on the lead lap, that there could be yet another caution before this race is over because of all the racing going on. As you said, P3 through P11, that's a lot of cars vying for position.
And we'll have a look. Will any of them risk it? No, it looks as though they're all going to stay out. You see, this is what I was talking about. These drivers will want to keep their track position. By the way, Ryan Norton does get out ahead of them, right? That's not going to be anything different. So yes, indeed, we are going to have 11 drivers on the lead lap. It's crazy.
You don't think that the race director putting that out there on the track for everybody to see had anything to do with that, do you?
Not at all. And let's not forget, you can save yourself a lot of fuel under caution. So these drivers, if they do get another caution, are going to have to take 5-6 gallons. So really and this is what I love about Pocono. You can never ever count your chickens at Pocono early, because the entire complexity of the race just changes in, you know, a series of 20-30 laps.
Yeah, now that they've bunched back up again, this might as well be the start of the race. I mean, this might as well be the race from here to the end. You're going to see nothing but constant battles. So keep your eyes open for what kind of things are going to transpire on the track.
And I know we're at the pretty much the 3/4 point of the race now. Your driver of the race so far?
Well, early on, my driver of the race would have been Matthew Lambertson. He was running a great race, and then that kind of went by the wayside. So right now, I'm going to have to say the driver of the race would have to be Dennis Garis, because he's stayed out of trouble, stayed up front, and run just a very, very consistent race.
I'm going to go for Wilson for the moment, but I have to say a big congratulations to Sanford, getting some 2 laps down back onto the lead lap. He's really worked that strategy card beautifully here today. The pace car, meanwhile, is going to come back in. You see that a mind game starting already with Goke and Norton. This is where it's going to get very interesting. Norton's going to bolt any moment now, and he's just going to hope. There he is. He goes away. Goke getting a great restart as well. We're back to the racing here at Pocono with 126 laps for the win.
Yeah, great restart for both drivers. So once again, 3/4 of the way through, Jonathan Goke's going to be right up in there, right up in the scratch station. Look at the battle for 3, 4, and 5. Looks like Joe Branch is really going to, this is his time. He knows he needs to get up here and he needs to do something and see if he has a faster car.
Sanford up into the 6th position now. He's overtaken Eric Hunter. So Sanford, we talked about how strong he is. Now he's got over those woes. He's up into the 6th position. Joe Branch is still hounding Dennis Garris in the battle for the third position. And Wilson there running all the way high, close to the wall. And it's
Randy Crosslow's looking like he's looking underneath. He's going to follow Brad Sanford all the way in, so he's going to try to get the 6th position. Looks like he's going to follow Brad all the way up.
I'll tell you what, keep an eye out on Crosno and Sanford, because yes, they're on completely different strategies, but right now they are in a position where they can at least close the race down. I mean, they need 2 more cautions to be able to go without quitting, but...
Oh, there we go. Caution's going to be out. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. You got Eric Hunter and Paul Jenkins.
Stay green. No, caution is out. Caution is out. And that was Eric Hunter, Paul Jenkins, as you said. And guess who is smiling like a little cat who's just got the cream?
Yeah, they're all now they can go in, they can get everything they need to finish the race, and it's on from here. So that's, and all the people, the Brad Sanford, Randy Crossnose, Joe Branch, all moving up to the front of the pack. Great way to play this race out.
So, drivers who are going to have to pit are going to be Brad Sanford, Randy Crosno, John Ailes, Julian Pham, Alan Wilson. In fact, I think Alan Wilson was involved in that incident, so he's out of the race. In fact, we eliminated Wilson and Jenkins in that moment. So Hunter, Crosno, Sanford, they're going to have to come down pit road, as is Pham. The 4 cars are going to come in, but we just saw there that they've pretty much all got the speed to get through the pack. So we've essentially got ourselves like one of those heat races where Darwinism comes into play, and we've really got ourselves, I cannot tell who's going to win this race, honestly.
No, it's anybody's race at this particular time. We've got a lot of cars with a lot of speed, so it's really up to the drivers and how it plays out. It's kind of looking at this. Unfortunately, Alan Wilson is the one that's going to take the brunt of this one. He kind of got pushed up into the turn, bounced off, ricocheted off the wall on this one. So,
and
looks like he's got lucky and managed to just take out 1 car instead of 2. So that's unfortunate for him. He's run such a good race today.
To give you an indication of the drivers who's made pit, in the top 5, I mean, Ryan Norton did 6 pit stops, Jonathan Goat 8 pit stops, Dennis Garris 6 pit stops, Joe Branch 5 pit stops. Randy Crosner's also done 6 pit stops, but at one point he was 2 laps down. Brad Sumter's done 6 pit stops, he was almost 2 laps down. When you pit at this track, really is critical. I mean, Sanford, Crosno, Ailes and Pham on pit road now. When you pit, I mean, if your car lap down and you get a quickie caution, you top up in fuel, because it means that you can then play the strategy game later. And then if your car on the lead lap, it's the same thing. And that's Pocono. Simple as that, for that simple reason. I'm always a strategy guy. This is one of those things. I just love thinking my way through these races. And I know there's some crew chiefs right now who's just screaming at their pit wall, thinking, oh, for God's sake, let's get some consistency here. But it's really shaping up to be a great race. And I tell you what, drivers like Dennis Garris in the 3rd position, we haven't seen anything from him, I guarantee. If Sanford can get back up through this field, I think he can come into play. Crosno, he led a number of laps earlier on, he can come back into play. So I think there's at least 7 drivers who trying to win this race.
Yeah, and as we've seen before, you've got 2 extremely competitive, extremely aggressive drivers up at the front of this field, Ryan Norton and Jonathan Goke. So once again, the battle will ensue. They've only got 30 laps, or they're probably going to go green on 32, about 28 laps to go. So they are going to be battling royale.
And if you are watching this race, hello to you all. You can tweet us using the hashtag ISOWC. That's his ISOWC. He's going to win this race. I have no idea. In fact, I don't even want to put a bet on anyone. I have to say, disappointment for Alan Wilson. He had himself a great race earlier on today. He led some laps. He was running strongly in the top 5. He's one of those drivers that your heart really does go out to him. But in this race so far, I mean, who needs soft races when you have something like this?
Well, absolutely. This is great racing today. Usually it's a 2.5 milers, you know, there's a lot of conga line, but Pocono being one of those tracks, it's a driver's track because the turns are so different, and it's, you know, sometimes you have to lift, sometimes you don't. The draft, I mean, this is excellent racing here today. Excellent racing by every single car on this track, and especially those that are all now 9 cars are on the lead lap. Most of those that were not on the lead lap 10 laps ago.
Mr. Randy
Awesome
Crosno.
racing.
Mr. Randy Crosno, it's time for your 10-second interview. At one point, you were 2 laps down. Now you're back on the lead lap, and you are in the 6th position. Got a very fast Brad Sanford behind you, but you got yourself a chance to get back into the fight. What are you going to do for the rest of this race?
Well, I'm gonna try and advance it safely every position I can. So see where I can end up.
10-4.
Race so far.
10-4. Good luck to you. Eric Hunter, it's time for your 10-second interview. Very quickly.
That was extremely buddy. Way to go.
You're currently sat in the 5th position at number 99 machine. You've been there about all day. Coming to these last 30 laps, how do you think you're going to do?
Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I'm just hoping to finish the race.
Well, congratulations for you being where you are so far, and good luck to you. I really like these 10-second interviews.
Absolutely. Very informative.
Meanwhile,
Did you just snort? There's no snorting in racing. What the heck?
okay, Ryan Norton, your race leader. We've got ourselves Jonathan Goke in 2nd, Dennis Garris in 3rd, Joe Branch in 4th, Eric Hunter in 5th, Randy Crosno in 6th, Brad Sanford in 7th, John Ailes in 8th, Julian Found in 9th. 9 drivers on the lead lap. You've got yourself Alan Wilson out of the race. You've got yourself Paul Jenkins out of the race. You've got Dave Jinks right in the middle of this pack. And we've got ourselves just under 30 laps left to go. Pace car in, Ryan Norton accelerating, green flag back in the air. Jonathan
He
Goke.
wastes no time. Here we go.
Yep. And Joe Branch again going to try and get the run on Dennis Garris coming down into turn number 1.
There you go. Well, will he get it? Will he get it? Yep.
He's got the
So
line
go right
this time.
inside. Does Joe Branch have enough car?
Yes.
Oh, is he dragging stick? Oh, yes!
Yes.
He managed to get in front.
Ah, but look at
Joe
that,
Branch
Garris looking down to the inside, back in the
Oh.
turn.
Paybacks are a bitch. Here it comes.
Here you go there. Dennis Garris down to the inside. He will try and
Joe
retain that
Branch.
position.
Oh, great on the outside. Way to drive on the
Yeah,
outside.
let's not forget, Branch was so good on the outside line early on in this race. You see Garris there now. You see Branch just pinning him down. Branch is going to get a great run off this corner, side by side, to the line. It's going to essentially be Joe Branch leading it by
drag
less
race.
than a hundredth of a second. Now Garris is going to have the line into turn number 1. That's probably going to clip him in. No,
2
it
by 2.
doesn't.
Joe Branch strong on the outside. Great acceleration.
And Branch still stays ahead. In fact, he's going to clear
Yes.
it.
Look at that. Great driving by Joe Branch. Way to do that. 2 by 2 for a whole lap, and he comes out in front. So let's see what happens here. Just while they're doing that, they're allowing the leaders to escape, but I don't think they care.
I have to say, there is no better driver on this racetrack here today on the outside line than Joe Branch. Period. He has been phenomenal on that outside line, and we haven't talked about him much, but he has been deadly on the outside 2 grooves of this racetrack. He's really set his car up to be defensive and aggressive on that outside line. And yes, you can.
Absolutely. I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, he's making that thing stick like glue. Where most people are having to lift, he seems to be flat out. You know, is he, the question is he running the same car as the rest of his teammates? Because it's definitely looking like it's driving completely different.
And he's not quite out of the picture now from the Ryan Norton Jonathan Goke battle. If these two start squabbling, Branch will get right back into the hunt. We are completing lap number 134 of 160 here in the ISOWC Pocono 400 presented by GlacierTV. Will then Roy Johnson in the booth for the closing stages of this race. And let's not forget, these drivers have been racing for over 2 hours now. One of the most talented, you see that Dennis Garris is going to get a run. Joe Branch very slowly out from turn number 1. Lance Garris down to the inside, he's going to clear him. So Branch won't be able to turn the outside.
Oh, Joe Branch losing. Well, I don't think, as you say, squabble. That squabble for 3rd position is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Joe Branch to the inside. Oh, Reese is going to have none of that. And I think up front what you're looking at is, it wasn't a matter of when, if we're going to squabble up front, it's when we're going to squabble.
I'll give it 5 laps, period. A little bit back further to the field. Randy Crosno, see that Joe Branch now looking out to the inside. Of guys, but having to get out of the throttle. I think that Brian should do what I always do at Michigan. You see that Brian should use position there to cross mode.
Randy Crosby takes him, opens up the hole, and Randy Crosby slides right in there.
I think that Brian should do what I famously do at Michigan and always try and do my passes on the outside, because I think that Brian's going to make him stick to that. If he can get a good run, get side by side, and drives in the middle of the track, I will go to the outside line and force them to be pinned down. It doesn't seem like for most of that inside line is working.
Well, one of the problems with passing on the outside line for too long a period of time is it does heat up the tires. So Joe probably has to slip back, let his tires kind of cool off a little bit, and then he'll make another run.
Crosno there, who's very slow on the inside line through turn number 1, trying to make the move there on Dennis Garrison, about for the 3rd position.
Joe Branch can take his spot back. Oh.
So Joe Branch now move him back up into the 4th position, clearing Crosno from turn number 2. Doesn't look as though Crosno is going to get the undercut down into turn number 3. While all of this is happening, John Goat is closed down to less than 2 tenths of a second behind Ryan Norton in the battle for the 1st position. And those two drivers have pulled out a 1.8 second gap now over Dennis Garrison in 3rd, Crosno's in 4th, Joe Branch is in 5th, and look who's up in the 6th position. No other than Brad Sanford in the 09 machine.
Brad Sanford's just kind of patiently kind of waiting it out. He thinks he's got enough laps, and they are all definitely waiting for this battle to ensue up front, hoping that these two cars will get into each other, and then taking the 3rd and 4th place car and moving it up to 1st and 2nd.
Just going to get some on board from Brad Sanford here, and 1 minute. Yeah, that's it. He's closing dramatically. He really is in the whole kill room there. And
Randy Crosby's into the pits. Oh my goodness!
Is this the same mistake he made? It is the same mistake he made.
It is.
Pocono 250, getting it wide,
losing the right into the pits.
Unfortunately, this time
steered it.
Yeah, unfortunately this time, however, he doesn't get the car straightened out. So Randy Crosby's day is done.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Let's get him down here quickly. Should we get him down quickly? Oh, he's going to be hugely disappointed then.
Oh, absolutely.
Randy Crosby, how disappointed are you?
Just a little bit. It was still fun.
Meanwhile, at the same time, Joe Branch once again looking down to the inside line of Dennis Garrison in the battle for his 3rd position. He's got himself a great drive this time by. However, will he be able to dive down the inside and clear? In fact, he does. So if he can just kind of got a lane to watch up now. In fact, he does do that. Garrison behind him. Exactly close to all over this Garrison. This is going to allow Brad Sanford to try and close down that gap, but he's about a 1.5 seconds behind. He really needs these two drivers to carry on fighting behind him. Randy, we'll come back to you momentarily. He just clipped the wall in turn 3 and shades of the Pocono 250 earlier this year.
Yeah, you just barely touch it and it messes up your suspension. So when I saw that happen, I figured I'll just take it down into pit road so I didn't bring out a yellow.
And I have to say, we'll quickly chat to you while these drivers have just settled down for the moment. Early on this race, you had a rocket car. I mean, you were able to get up a 4.8 second gap over your rivals. How important is clean air here today on this racetrack? Because it really does seem that if you can't make a move down into turn number 2, you really haven't got a shot at overtaking at the moment on the inside line.
Yeah, clean air is critical here. I mean, when I was out front running, it wasn't this dirty air, and it's you really have to take different lines and do things quite a bit different. Fast and then also drive fast. It's a fun track.
It is a fun track, and I tell you what, that battle between Jonathan Goat and Ryan Norton is hotting up. As is the battle between Joe Branch and Dennis Garrison in the 3rd and 4th position. Let's not forget that Garrison and Sanford are teammates. So when Sanford comes into this picture, it could be a bit of a gang-like manoeuvre on Joe Branch, unfortunately, in the 27 machine. I'd say it's like kudos to Eric Hunter in the 99 machine. Yes, he's 8 seconds now behind the race lead, but my God, he's done a good job of that line by there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, all these racers are going to stay in the race. Wait for things to play out in the end. Eric Hunter, another great example of never down out until you're down all the way. So good job on his part.
And I had to say, I think Gope's just biding his time at the moment. I mean, last lap, 40.938. Compare that to Ryan Norton's, which was a 40. I can't tell you. You're going to have to continue for a moment, Doyle.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Joe Branch, Dennis Gareis, that battle is not going away. Lap after lap, and now Dennis Gareis is now in the lead over Joe Branch. He's managed to get to P3, so once again, they're going back and forth. It looks like this battle is going to go until the end of the race. And it's a matter of who has this position on the very last lap, because they are definitely not letting go of each other.
And Ryan, I'll bring you back into this momentarily. At Michigan, I mean, that was one of the longest races we've
Jonathan
done.
Goat takes the lead.
Can you do it with a bit of enthusiasm, please?
Jonathan Goat takes the lead. The battle has ensued up front between Jonathan Goat and Ryan Norton. Jonathan Goat definitely takes the lead, and it looks like Ryan Norton's going to be looking to the inside on the back straight. I think he's going to give it a couple more laps, but those tires come off. Jonathan's going to, looks like he's running up front there. Ryan Norton to the inside.
And
There's the crash that we're talking about.
Oh, no!
Jonathan Goat into the wall. Flipped by Ryan Norton coming up the track. That is a tragic situation there.
I do not want to hear what is going on
Oh
with
my
these
God.
drivers at the moment.
I'm going to mute that.
I mean, we talk about how David Warren's on the going at a couple of moments, but I mean, let's be fair, those two guys have had some great racing up until this point. And you fighting to a lead this late in a long race. I mean, Randy, you can remember the language that I had when I had a moment with a teammate back in February, can't you? Randy?
Randy's
Oh,
gone.
so
Okay.
did John just blow up?
Jonathan just got into the wall, sir. And what you've got here is this is the minutest of race incident. We are talking on that second groove. Ryan Norton's tire squeaks over by about 6 inches. Jonathan Goat's is over by about 6 inches. Front tire of Ryan Norton and the rear tire of Jonathan Goat get together. We are talking a foot of play, how the two cars converged. That's how tight they were squeezing each other. And unfortunately, Jonathan Goat gets the bad end of the stick on this one.
And, yeah, Randy, I mean, you remember back in February, as I was trying to say, when I was involved in an incident with someone in the dying moments of a race. When you're batting for the lead, I mean, you've been there as well. It's horrible, isn't it? Unfortunately, Randy personally can't be able to listen to us again. Who cares?
I think he's had a heart attack. Yeah, that is something else. That's just amazing. Just happened.
We've got ourselves a replay, I believe another replay coming up momentarily on the screen. And go talk us through it.
Once again, you have the two cars that are side by side going through turn one, and you look at that, Ryan Norton on the bottom line, Jonathan Goat on the top line, and the two cars converge. You can see that dark line that separates the two different lanes there, and Ryan Norton just barely inching up the line, and Jonathan Goat barely inching down, and it was just enough to hook the tires.
And Norton's having to come down pit road.
Oh, maybe he's got a little suspension damage because he did slide a little bit there. That's going to be interesting as far as Ryan Norton's concerned. That's going to change the race, just like what we talked about. Dennis Gareis and Brad Sanford and Joe Branch. Next thing you know, here we have a whole different race running to the last charge. But that replay, you can see it was just bad luck. The cars just barely inched into each other, and next thing you know, Jonathan Goat, his day is ended after a great race he's ran all day today.
And you saw there the super slow-mo GlacierTV cam there on Ryan Norton, just the slightest of touches. And this is open wheel racing, it's not fender bashing, so I mean you cannot really lock wheels too much in these cars. And I'm sure when Goat calms down that he's going to have some very, very choice words at incidents, but we can't take anything away from each other because they've had a great race up until this point. And once again, the end of an after-win IndyCar Series race, and everything's just turned on its head.
Absolutely. And hopefully the two drivers, Jonathan Goat, once he gets a chance to calm down, there's been no chatter in the race or through the comms, so we know that they're definitely angry. But if you look at the replay, there's no way you can pin that incident on either driver. Strictly a racing incident today.
And And out of all of this, Dennis Garris is your race leader. Brad Sanford is up into the second position. And we're going to bring Jonathan Goke into the booth. Jonathan, remembering that you're on a live broadcast, your language has to be slightly reasonable, but take us through that incident.
No more to.
Oh,
He doesn't want
a little
to.
early for Jonathan Goke. We'll let him get a drink of water and pace that out for a little bit.
Wow. Unfortunately, Goat really not happy, and what it's done is it has put Dennis Garris into the race lead, Brad Sanford up into the second, and let's not forget he was 2 laps down at one point in this race. In fact, as I believe you were, Randy, you managed to get yourself into the lead lap. Ryan Norton is down into 5th. Eric Hunter's currently sat in 3rd. Julian Pham in 4th. Ryan Norton in 5th. John Ailes in 6th. And we've got ourselves just 7 cars, I believe, left in this race. And
What
really
happened
has
to
taken
Joe
its toll.
Branch?
I don't know.
Remember, Joe Branch was battling for 3rd position. He must have gotten into that somehow.
No, Joe was talking during the race that it was a timed race for him. He had an event that he had to go to, so that's probably what happened to Joe.
And that's unfortunate for Joe. I mean, he really, really was the best driver on the outside line. And if there's any driver that you really wanted to be seeing in these last couple of laps of this race, working that outside, it would have been Branch. I have to say, it's going to be a slowpoke racing battle now for the last part of this race. And it's going to be interesting. Can Sanford do the impossible?
Well, that's hard to say. Dennis Garris has been just a monster. I mean, he driver of the race for me, and Brad Sanford just kind of sneaking up from the back. He did not have the first half of this race was just not good for Brad Sanford. But again, wasn't just part of the strategy because look where he's at right now. Big grin on his face. Him and his teammate taking his green.
And we're going to get our statistician, Jenny Backman, to give us an update on the laps led. Very quickly, we're about to go back to green flag racing. On the fastest lap, it is by my watch still Ryan Norton, the fastest lap of the race. So, no, it's Randy Crosno. Hello, Randy, with a 40.783. So he's currently set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and speaking of the laps led, Dennis Garisi now led 2 laps, Ryan Norton with the 67 laps, Jonathan Goke with the 57 laps, and those 2 candidates are the only ones with the potential of gaining that prize.
And the pace car is in once again. Green flag in the air.
Green,
Dennis
green.
Garris from Brad Sanford, from Eric Hunter, from Julian Pham, from Ryan Norton. Norton already looking down to the inside of Julian Pham to come down into turn number 1. But you've got yourself Garris and Sanford battling for the race lead at the moment, with Eric Hunter dropping back. And so that's Dave Jinks on the 3rd in line. I think he's trying to play direct rotation because I don't think even if there were 2 more cautions to be able to get himself back into the lead lap now. Sanford is closing on Garris at the constant turn number 2. Now I'm looking down. He's going to try to make a move on the inside, coming to turn number 3. Not quite just yet. Meanwhile, Ryan Norton trying desperately to get himself back into this race now. He has got himself Eric Hunter ahead of him, and then Dave Jinks, but he's about half a second behind these 2 drivers. Meanwhile, as they come past the line, it is Dennis Garris by 2 tenths of a second over Brad Sanford. Eric Hunter, 3rd, a second behind the race lead, and then Ryan Norton up into 4th, 1.3 seconds behind. This is really going to be interesting. Can Norton close down with 10 laps to go at the line?
Well, that's the thing too. Is you still have that, that variable in races. There's going to be more crashes. Are Brad and Dennis going to get into each other fighting for the lead, and that puts you through there. So you just never know. You still just don't know. Eric Hunter could be the actual victor at the end of the race. So it's anybody's race at this point.
Sanford there was looking down to the inside of turn number 3. Had to check up. That gave a bit of momentum back to Dennis Garris, but the gap as they came across the line with 10 laps left to go was less than a tenth of a half a second down into turn number 1. Sanford getting a very good drive. He should try and get the run out of the corner, but Garris is superior there as they came off that 14 degrees of banking now down into turn number 2. And in all of this happening, Norton is just managed to get himself past Eric Hunter to move him up into the 3rd position, but he's still got to close down Dave Jinks and then the 2 slowpoke racing drivers, as Dennis Garris now coming out of turn number 3 has got himself Brad Sanford all over his rear wing. And it's still anyone's game. Norton can still get back into this.
Yeah, he may have enough laps to put a charge on because he's coming like a freight train from that last position. So we'll see what happens there. He's got the car to do it, and he's definitely got the skill on the track. But up front, definitely the race is going on up front. These two up front are not slouches. They have fast cars, and they're not going to give it up.
Yeah, coming out of turn 3 on the last lap, Ryan got a little loose coming off of 3, and Eric kind of got back by him. So Ryan collected it, got back by Eric, but he's down almost 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's going to put him out of the race lead battle unless these two drivers really start squabbling. Brad Sanford now, he's going to have a great drive. Is he going to sit behind his teammate, however? Looking down to the inside.
Nope, inside.
Battle for the race lead. Sanford on the inside, Gareth on the outside, and Brad Sanford from being 2 laps down earlier on takes the lead here. And there, so we're going to see Pocono 400, and I tell you what, this could be...
Oh, he's going to try to challenge him. No, he pulls back in. Oh, my God. Brad Sanford, the race leader, after all that work he's had to do. Wow, that's amazing.
It is crazy shizzle there. Sanford is your race leader. Gareth now, he's looking to the high side coming off turn 3. He's got himself a very good run. He's not going to have a look down to the inside. Sanford leads the lap, but Gareth is going to have the drive from down to turn 1, 2 wide once again into the first corner, and Gareth is going to make a loose stick there, but will Sanford try and undercut him there? Not quite close enough, but Gareth gets himself a bit of a slow run off the corner. This is going to allow Sanford to close back up through turn number 2. In fact, he's having a look down into turn number 2.
He's going to go in turn 3. Nope. Sanford had to lift a little bit in turn 1 there. He lost a lot of momentum on that particular charge. Looks like he's going to come back up and he's going to try it again.
And what that means...
Dennis and Brad fight like this, right? Just sitting back up there. He's going to get by Dave in the next lap or so.
We'll see what happens. He's definitely on the move.
I'm sure Dave Jinx there isn't just going to pull to one side just yet. But Sanford is...
There he goes. There he goes.
But you've now got yourself a 3-way battle for the lead. We're going to have 5 laps left to go at the line. Gareth is your race leader, Sanford in second, Norton in third. So you've got yourself Slowpoke, Afterburn as they come down into the second corner of this 3-corner racetrack. Sanford doesn't look as though he's got the speed in the second and third corners. Gareth is very fast there, but Sanford's going to have to line him up. And you see Gareth there getting very wide. That's going to allow Sanford to get past. And Sanford then
to the inside. Looks like Norton's going to split him. He's going to split him 3 wide.
And Norton back to the lead there.
Ryan Norton takes over the lead.
And meanwhile, look at that 2-wide racing between those two slowpoke drivers in second and third position. Sanford gets out the front of that, allows Gareth tuck into second position. But what happened there was you had Gareth getting himself wide in turn number 3. At the same time, Sanford getting loose on the apex of the corner. And that allowed Norton to make a 3-wide move for the race lead. And Norton is on the point, and I'm not sure how much more racing these drivers can do, because Norton has been very fast in clean air. Gareth has never been able to be close enough to them, and could this now be Norton's race?
Yeah, I think that was just an amazing pass, how he closed up. Those two both of them kind of lost control of their cars, got a little excited there, and Norton was able to shoot the gap and get right through there. And now you're seeing they're starting to spread out a little bit. It looks like Brad Sanford just fallen off a little bit from Dennis Gareth. It looks like they kind of lost a little wind out of their sails when that happened right there. Such good racing up front.
Still not over though, because Dennis Gareth is less than half a second behind Ryan Norton. We're going to have ourselves 3 laps to go at the line. See Gareth there getting again very wide on the apex, using too much of that curb, I think, there. Just pushing him up the racetrack, and the gap is now up to 5 and 6 tenths of a second pretty much, and Norton is driving away into the sunset with 3 laps left to go. I'm sure the one thing that's going in Ryan Norton's head now is don't get loose in turn number 3.
Yeah, watch turn number 3. You see the slowpoke drivers there, they've kind of split out. They've even stopped racing each other. But doesn't matter how this ends up. You have to give the big kudos right now to Brad Sanford. Heck of a battle, way to battle, sitting P3, a horrible beginning to the day, and he's right up there on the podium today. So he's going to be happy no matter how this race works out if everything stays the way it is.
2 laps to go now for Ryan Norton. The gap is up to 6.5 tenths of a second over Dennis Gareth. So it looks as though the 2 slowpoke drivers have faded for the day. Ryan Norton just got himself now 5 corners left to go here at Pocono Raceway. Coming down the short chute now, down into turn number 2. This is the corner which is labelled off Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He flicks it to the left, tries to get as close to the curb as possible without actually touching it. And indeed now as he'll come off the corner, down into turn number 3. He'll come through this, getting a nice apex through here. And as he'll come past the line, this time by, the white flag will be in hand for the Pocono 400. After 2.5 hours of racing here, Ryan Norton is on point. The gap up to 7 tenths of a second as he comes down into turn number 1.
Yeah, that was an amazing charge by Ryan Norton to get himself in this position, taking the white flag up front. Kind of redemption for his last time we saw him at Pocono. Dennis Garees, Brad Sanford, great racing. Just some little bit of a mistake, and Ryan Norton was able to capitalize. But great charge after that horrible accident between him and Jonathan Goke earlier.
So Ryan Norton comes out of the final corner for the final time, past the start finish line. Ryan Norton will win the Pocono 400. Dennis Garees comes home 1 second behind him, and Brad Sanford a further second back in 3rd. Eric Hunter comes across the line in 4th position. Julian Pham running out your top 5. John Ailes in 6th. Dave Jinks will come home in the 7th position, with Joe Branch in 8th. Jonathan Goke classified in 9th, and Ryan Butler in 10th. And wow, we'll go back and we'll get ourselves a look at that replay for the race lead. It was at the conclusion of lap 155. Garees got himself wide in the corner. At the same time, Sanford got loose. And we'll try and get our Glacier, but we can't show it at the moment. We'll try and get it later on when we get the opportunity. But having a look at it, just splitting there. You've got 3 drivers in 3 lanes. I mean, this is one of the widest straightaways here on the series, but great pass there by Norton. 3 drivers. At the end of lap 155, the start at lap 156, Norton just absolutely, that was just a ballsy maneuver, and he takes home victory.
Yeah, he was absolutely up on the wheel from the time the green flag dropped on this stint. Up front, there was great racing with Dennis and Brad. It was just, and then just Ryan just shot like a bullet as soon as he got the opportunity. He saw it, and he was really up on the wheel. So that was great driving, great racing by everybody today. The two Slowpoke racing drivers got a lot of entertainment up front. Looked like they were going to be able to hold it, but Ryan Norton was just too much for everybody to handle today.
And Ryan, back into victory lane. You were everywhere, pretty much position possible in this race, but a ballsy three-wide maneuver gave you race victory.
Yeah, first things first, I haven't watched the replay, but I do think I got into Jonathan. I know it was tight there. I don't know if I came up, but I apologize for him. And yeah, it looked like Dennis got high and Brad played it safe, thinking he might come down and lift it a little bit. And by that point, it was kind of C's parted there for me, and I was just trying to get up front, and just a good opportunity to be right there.
And strategy was my keyword for the day. And when we 9 cautions in this race, which to be fair for Pocono is a lot less than you'd expect, and some very long green flag runs. I mean, how did you work that that strategy to your advantage?
The cautions, even 9 in this at 160 laps, kind of really took the strategy out. The one bit of strategy I did do was I pitted after we had run about 6-7 laps and took on about 3 gallons, and we settled down. I was about 3 seconds back for quite a while, and Jonathan was lighter and he was quicker too at that point, so I was just trying to hang on and not lose a lot of ground. And when he pitted, really tried to make up a lot of ground, and I actually short filled and came out ahead of him, a little lighter car. I was planning on it going green there, and basically taking 2 light loads instead of 1 light and 1 really heavy. So not really a lot of strategy. I came down pit road towards the end there because I thought I probably had damage, and I had like 15 seconds of repairs. So, like I said, I feel bad for John. I don't typically have contact like that, so.
Well, we looked at the replay, Ryan, just to ease your both of you guys. You guys were within 6 inches of each other, and there was just no way to tell. Both cars, one up, one down, so it was just purely a racing incident.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but still, hated for it to kind of. Wouldn't say the race ended there, but it seemed like for me and him, it kind of did.
And final question: next week, do you fancy turning right as well as left?
Where are we going?
Sonoma.
Yeah. Me and that
Yeah,
track
yeah,
don't
yeah.
get along except for the drag strip, so we'll have to see.
You gotta run it because you're going to the real race there, Ryan.
This is true. I guess I should go out there and see what the real drivers are going to have to deal with.
There you go. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Norton will enter the event next Sunday, excuse me.
What's even more scary is that Ryan Norton's actually going to an IndyCar race.
Yeah, you know, right? I figured I might start it, but you guys didn't say anything about finishing it, so I figure I'm good.
No, there's no start and park in Sonoma. No.
Yeah, this ain't no NASCAR, you know.
Well, I was thinking, you know, backwards into the tire barrier will be the last thing you see of me, so I don't know.
10-4. Well, well done on your race victory. We'll let you go back up to your friends and family. Meanwhile, Mr. Brad Sanford, where do I even start with you? 1 point, you were 2 laps down. Then you were 1 lap down. Then you were on the lead lap. Then you got strategy your way. And then you were leading. And then you were second. And then you had the chance to go for the lead. And you got a bit loose in turn 3. And then you got overtaken.
Does that sum it up? Mr. Sanford.
Okay, so that was directed at me. Yeah, in fact, I was 2 laps down at one point.
That's what I said. Pay attention.
I was, sort of.
But
Great race today, Brad.
yeah, I mean, Norton said strategy didn't work for him, but it really, really did work for you.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say it was strategy. I was just out there running laps down and realized towards the end, wait a minute, I got a lap back. Wait a minute, I got another lap back. I'm on the lead lap. Wow. Wait, caution? I can fill up with gas and make it to the end?
You do realize we are broadcasting this live, and it's probably good to make it look like you did it on purpose.
Being honest, I know we're broadcasting live. I'm being honest. I really didn't think after the early caution or contact that put me 2 laps down. My car had gotten tight. I hit the wall off of 1, and honestly, I really didn't think I was going to be able to get my laps back, especially with the single file restarts. But I was able to, and I'm really, really pleased with how today turned out, and the fact that my teammate got second.
And I have to say, that 3 wide moment, had you have not gone a little bit loose, would you have been able to keep Norton behind you?
I don't know if I would have been able to keep Norton behind me at that point. I think I would have been able to keep Dennis behind me. Norton would have gotten around me probably at any point anyways. That's the problem with having 1 monitor and not 3. I couldn't really see what was on the outside of me or how much room was between Dennis and I, and that was the last thing I wanted to do, was make contact that late in a race with a teammate.
So if you'd like to send your checks to the Brad Sanford Monitor Relief Fund, send them to I Shouldn't Buy Too Many Shorts at P.O. Box 81715, England.
Hey, Brad, congratulations. That was really nice the way you kind of hung in there, stuck with it, finished well. Nice race.
Thanks a lot, Randy. It was really a shame to see you hit the wall off of 3 there. I figured it would have been a nice battle for the top 5.
Yeah,
And since Dennis isn't here, go ahead and now that Dennis isn't here, go ahead and congratulate him for us too. He ran a great race, and he was definitely my driver of the day.
Definitely, I'll pass on the word. I was really, really impressed with Dennis today. He's been gone for 2 weeks on a holiday in France, and haven't seen him for a while, and he pops in today and does a really good job.
I think he is here. Mr. Dennis, do you have a copy? We'll get back to him. Meanwhile, Eric Hunter, he came home 4th. And it looks as though that for you, consistency really did pay off towards the end of that race.
Yeah, absolutely. I got down a lap, about 10 laps in, just try to keep it clean the whole race, and 100 laps later, I got back on the lead lap finally, and I'm happy with fourth.
And should we say hello to Mr. Paul as well? In fact, we'll just say hello to everyone. Mr. Jinx, hello. How was your race?
Jinx or Jinx?
Yeah, hello everybody. I kind of messed up my own race there. It was fun. I had a good solid run.
Yeah, it looks as though that you were, in that catbird seat to get yourself onto the podium for a large portion of that race. And those walls at Pocono, you have to run it so close to the ragged edge. And I mean, was it just a lapse in concentration, or was the car just getting to that point?
Actually, I brushed the wall coming out of 3 about 40 laps in, just barely touched it, so I pit just in case. That's where I got my penalty on exit. And then later on, Jussi Nieminen slowed up a little bit in turn 4, and I bumped him just a little bit. It was a racing thing.
Oh yeah, and by the way, we need to remind everyone that there is no turn 4 at Pocono.
Oh, well, that's why.
Yeah, since you guys were driving into turn 4, that's probably why that happened.
But also have to say hello to Mr. Paul Jenkins. I know you had a very good start of the race, but then again, it just seemed to be that later on you were involved in an incident, I believe, with Alan Wilson in the number 59 machine.
Yeah, it was just a bad deal. We were all kind of dicing around back there, and he went high and clipped the wall, and I didn't see him coming down, and even if I did, there's probably nothing I could do because he just came right into me. It's just one of those racing deals. This is the first full-length race I think I've run in close to a decade. So, I'm proud with what I accomplished, and I had a really great car, and I was just kind of trying to mind my own business and just finish the race. But it's just one of those things, and looking forward to getting to it next week.
And very quickly, we are going to run through the final race results while I get my screen up. The race winner, surprisingly enough, number 84 machine of Ryan Norton. In second position was Dennis Garris. In third, Brad Sanford. Those two drivers, even though the gap said they were 2 seconds apart, very close racing by the top 3. Eric Hunter comes home in 4th. Julian Pham comes home in the 5th position. Julian, if you're listening to this, because I know you always watch races, put your microphone on sometime and say hello to us after a race. In 6th, John Ailes. In 7th, Dave Jinks. In 8th, Joe Branch. 9th, Jonathan Goke. 10th, Randy Crosno. Are you disappointed, by the way, Randy?
Just a little.
In 11th, Paul Jenkins. In 12th, Alan Wilson. Jason Nimmerman, Matthew Lambertson, the blue-blooded lawyer, John Porzak. Daniel Yench, David Ward, and Nico Brandt rounding out your race field. Now, next week, the ISOWC will come to you from Sonoma Raceway. Don't call it Infineon because it doesn't exist anymore, apparently, for the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. Coming up for the rest of this week here on Glacier TV, of ourselves the BigDogsRacing.com late model 125 at Martinsville. Then the iRacing Skip Barber Racing School Premier Series into its penultimate race at Virginia International Raceway, 20 laps there. That'll be at 2000 hours GMT on Wednesday. The Treadlet.net season race number 5 will be on Thursday on Glacier TV. And then we got ourselves the World Tour, the Grand Am World Tour Brickyard race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Rileys and the Ford Mustangs. And then we've got ourselves the the Brickyard 400 on Saturday, and then the ISOWC, as I said, Sonoma race will be on Sunday. From now, after 2.5 hours of torture, it's time for myself and Doyle Johnson to say goodbye. Goodbye!
Goodbye.
I don't know if we take cut or not.
Oh.